Oh, hi.
Oh,
Didn't see you there.
Hello. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, we're rolling. Let's just go with it.
Yeah.
Welcome to the New Age Fandom Report. Yeah, that's the name.
The New Age Fandom Report.
That's our name.
That's our name
and
that we picked.
and you will take it seriously, because if you don't, yeah, we won't be around very long. Is the thing.
Yeah.
So let's just read you little introductions, I guess.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Go ahead.
So my name is Ben. I'm a video editor, film editor. I'm a student, and I'm a self-proclaimed lover of movies. My favorite movie, if you know me well, you know my favorite movie is Jon Favreau's Chef 2014, and I will never apologize for that. That is just quite possibly the greatest piece of art ever gifted to the world. So basically, yeah. I think that's all everyone needs to know about me. I don't think anything else is important now. So
Wow.
go ahead.
Hey, man. My name is Luke Rosati. I'm a film school dropout. Yeah. I like movies, I guess. I like to talk about movies. I also hate a lot of things, which we're going to see a lot of today, I'm sure, given our discussion.
Yes.
My favorite movie is probably Monsters, Inc., I think.
Yeah.
I struggle with between a few different ones, but I think right now that's where I'm at. Monsters, Inc. I'm gonna stick with that one.
I think that's a really good choice.
Yeah.
I mean, Pixar, everything's amazing, right?
Yeah, Pixar just swag.
Now,
Yeah.
Pixar is great, but maybe Disney is faltering a little bit right now. Let's,
Oh,
a
yeah.
little transition,
let's get
little
into
segue.
it.
So,
Yeah.
as you may see, as probably the title of the video or whatever, I would think would be,
Yeah.
we're going to be talking a little bit today about, we're going to be talking a lot about the Little Mermaid remake.
Yeah.
We're kicking off the summer a little bit here with a really big studio release, and The Little Mermaid. And we both got to see it. We saw an early preview of it on Wednesday.
That we did, Ben. We did.
Quite an empty theater. Not super full. A lot of little girls who loved it.
They loved it. It was the biggest. It was I think the biggest pop off I've ever seen.
Oh
at
my
the end of a
god!
movie
They
ever.
applauded and cheered at the end. It was crazy.
It was like full on applause break.
Oh my god!
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say that I'm shocked.
Oh, I can't either. It's Disney. No
Yeah.
matter what we can say about this film, which we'll get into. We have lots of thoughts. No matter what we can say about it, this movie is gonna be huge. It's gonna be the generation defining film for these little girls. And
Sure.
I you know what, I get it. I think there are certain parts probably that are deserved with that. Some parts maybe not so much. But regardless, insane. The last time I saw applause in movie theaters was Avengers Endgame, and before that, the first Avatar when I was I don't know, 6 or 7. And for some reason, this movie, a half full audience had some pretty intense reactions at the end. It was
Any time I've ever seen a movie that wasn't, I think, like Avengers or Spider-Man, the only applause.
Oh, you're real. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, No Way Home as well, for
The
sure.
only time I've ever gotten applause at the end was because I started it on I purposefully made a ruckus, and then one or two other people would
Yeah,
join.
no. One time I definitely started an applause break during Space Jam: New Legacy because I'm just a vicious asshole.
The
But
notorious PIG scene. Was that the one
it was
got
that
you?
one. It was also just at the very beginning. We're gonna go off topic a lot, I suppose.
I'm sure.
When the king himself, LeBron, is talking to his son. His son's he's like, "Oh, Dad, man, you got full court vision," and I'm like, "Dude, shut up."
Woo!
Yeah,
No, truly.
unironically, either way, it was just a great moment for cinema. Kept it
Man,
alive.
it was the best screenplay of the last 10 years.
It was, and not to say that the screenplay is bad for Little Mermaid or anything, but it's
not to say the screenplay is bad. I'm gonna say
It's bad?
I'm gonna say it's bad. Yeah.
Okay, so before we get into it, I know we keep saying before we get into it, let's preface a little bit sort of our how we went into this film.
Yeah.
For myself, I had until yesterday, I had never seen the original, the first one. Now I know, shocking.
Wow.
Oh, blasphemy. Oh, how can you call yourself a movie fan? I don't know. Fucking, I love Chef. So I know all the songs. I know the characters. I know what happens. I've been to Disney. I'm sure there's a ride there that I was on or something. I know
the
what
ride
happens.
is fucking cool.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I don't remember
really
it. I
cool.
was I loved cars, so that was all I was there for. I was a pop-up picture of me with Lightning McQueen. So I never seen the original, and I wanted to kind of go into this. We had talked beforehand about how our perspectives are kind of different on this, and what the difference would be with us going into this film without having, for me at least, without having seen the original, because a concern of mine based off of some of the original or some of the other remakes is that they are so much either a copy paste or copy pasta of all the originals, and they just don't have that magic, or they do some really weird shit to make it different, and the movie suffers because of it. So it's like there's no really happy middle ground, I feel like. But going into this one, I just, based on what people were saying about it and the trailers, it just kind of seemed like it was feeling like the original a lot. So I really wanted to go into it and just, I wanted to see if that magic that supposedly has come with the original and has had like such a generational impact, if that would even be remotely like copied in this, if it could really live up to that. So that was sort of my thoughts going in. I was very optimistic, and I think I was more optimistic because we've been burned so many times by these Disney remakes. There's only a couple that I think are genuinely okay.
You thought that like maybe they're like gonna get a clue this time?
I don't know. I mean, I thought the trailers were pretty solid. I really liked how Halle Bailey looked in this.
Hey, she's great.
And let's preface. She's fantastic. She's easily the saving grace of this movie.
I have to say, even as like #1 certified this movie hater,
yeah,
she does not do a bad job. Mm-hmm. She's just fine in the role, and if anything, yeah, I think she's the best part of the movie for sure. Like
absolutely.
pretty easily, definitively the best part.
Absolutely. So what were sort of what's your background going into this? What were your thoughts going in?
So I'm a Disney nerd. I do really like Disney. I mean, I have to admit that like as a company, and especially lately, they're starting to lose me with just the fucking nonsense garbage they're turning out, like, including this movie included. We'll get there. But The Little Mermaid specifically has never been like my all-time favorite or anything. It's cute, it's fun. Like if you know anything about like the history of like where Disney was as a company at this point, this was their big like resurgence kind of thing. It started the Disney Renaissance in the 90s, so this was their big like, we're gonna return back to traditional fairy tales, we're gonna go for that classic Broadway style. This was sort of the first one to do that, and I think that it shows, because there's sort of a lot of cracks where it's sort of like, it's cute, it's fun, it's upbeat, and there's a lot of really good songs, but I think just like as a movie, well, by the time it's over, I'm just kind of like, yeah, you know, like it's fine. Yeah. It's never been like my personal favorite. It's no Aladdin, it's no Lion King, it's no Beauty and the Beast. But it's a lot of fun, right? And that's something that, I mean, going into these every single time, I'm sort of with you, where every time I go into one of these, I think like maybe this will be the one, but I've yet to be convinced. I was hoping that it would be good, right? Yeah, obviously. Yeah. But in the back of my head, it's always just nagging, like, what is the point of this? And I have to say I was not convinced.
I think the point of it is, what it always is for Disney, and it's money. It's all money. And sure. this movie, I mean, I think I saw that the Thursday night preview, so just last night, is about $10 million domestic. And that's a really good sign, because Thursday nights are usually small. So I think the projections, and we can get into more box office later, but I think the projections for the first weekend are between $120 to $140 million. So likely bigger than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Oh, fuck me.
And we don't know how big. And obviously, I think a movie like this probably has maybe a bigger domestic interest perhaps than international, but who knows? It could really explode internationally as well.
It's gonna make $1 billion.
Probably,
pretty much without a doubt.
I think a safe bet is like, up like the north of 800 million. But yeah, I think.
I mean, after seeing it and seeing the way the crowd reacted to it, I mean, obviously we were in like the earliest possible show we could go to.
Yes.
In a room filled with little girls and Disney adults exclusively.
So and then us. Well, Disney adult.
I am a Disney adult.
I'm a little girl, so
there you go. See, it works.
I'm glad we fit right in.
I mean, so I guess the audience might be a little inclined to enjoy it more.
Yes,
but
yes,
I mean,
for sure.
they seem to really like. There was a girl who said she
Really?
cried 3 times.
Yeah, we were
Did
walking
you hear
out.
that?
We were walking out. Yeah, this girl was like, I was definitely tearing up at the end, and she was like, yeah, no, I cried 3 times. I'm like,
3.
wow.
Where?
Yeah.
That's what got me. I'm like, where made you cry 3 times?
I don't know.
Because there's let's
Let's get into it. Let's get fully into it.
Where in this movie, if you hadn't seen the original before, would invoke any sort of strong emotion in you? Ben?
The only times that I was ever really moved in this movie, and not to say I was like emotionally like pulled, like I was about to cry, but the times when I was like, my emotions were like being moved in the sense that I could feel something like strong that was somewhat noticeable, would be anything with Prince Eric and Ariel I thought was pretty solid. They had good chemistry regardless of the fact that it's just a blatant remake and exactly what it was, and beat for beat, whatever. And the other time was at the end. I did kind of enjoy when Ariel and Triton like were saying their goodbyes. I thought that was a bit of a tender moment, but it didn't feel deserved, although I did get a bit of a reaction to it. But other than that, like,
I mean, you're saying some of the only parts where I could actually sort of almost say the movie is better, almost.
For sure, yeah.
And in very short bursts, this movie manages to do something that only very few of these ones have done, is make changes where I feel like actually that was kind of earned. Like,
absolutely.
With Eric and Ariel, I think I actually completely agree. I think their chemistry was like weirdly solid.
Very solid.
I wouldn't say it's amazing, but I would say that it's actually a step up from the original movie, which is something very rare. To say that like a character relationship was actually expanded upon and made better is rare. So like, to give credit where credit is due, absolutely. Triton, I think, I wouldn't say he's improved, but I would say that Javier Bardem's performance is like actually okay. And that part at the end when he's saying goodbye, like, I felt that he was sad in that moment.
Sure.
I didn't give a shit just because at this point I'm
you just don't care.
At that point I wanted it to end. I'll be honest with you.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, before Ursula turned big, I just remember thinking to myself, oh fuck, and she's still got to turn big, and they still got to fight her. They got to have the, you know what I mean? Like, there's so much shit that still has to happen in this movie, and I was like, please end. Like,
yeah, it's so now I've seen the original. I saw it last night, and really impressive, really fun. I love all the cartoon hijinks, the kind of stuff, the charm that you just can't have, especially with all like the little side characters like Sebastian and Scuttle and stuff. That just the things that you don't have in this film. They try to do, but just doesn't really pay off.
Yeah.
One of the things I really definitely, I mean, a lot of things I liked more about the original, but one of the things that stood out to me was the difference between Triton in the original and with Javier Bardem. Watching Triton in King Triton in the original, he's like this big booming presence.
Yes.
And he also is like lively. He doesn't just sit there on his throne commanding things in a very like dour tone. He is very much like just an explosive leader. He's so big and bigger than life. Yep. And I think that was missing from this. I think having like a very sort of serious father figure in this was interesting because it did create a different dynamic between father and daughter. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if I got from Javier Bardem what Triton should be. Like, it was okay. Yeah. It just didn't fit, I think, what they needed from that character to serve the story for Ariel's like.
I think with every character in this movie, I didn't get what I wanted from them.
Yeah, everyone other than Ariel.
I think other than Ariel, because she captured it pretty well. I think she did a pretty solid job. Everyone else, I think, it's just a shittier version of the thing they just did. Yeah. And like, I know that's the most cliche thing to say about all of these, but it's like. It's especially noticeable to me when it's literally exactly line for line reads of what they said in the original. Yeah. But it's a completely worse line delivery. Like, everything that they say is the same line, but they read it worse. So like, I noticed this specifically with Sebastian. There's so many line reads that are way funnier in the animated movie. But then when he reads it this time, I guess somebody in the booth tells him, well, you can't read it the same way because otherwise it'll be too similar, so you have to change it. But it's like, the joke doesn't work if you don't say it with that specific inflection and cadence. So it's like, that to me is probably honestly my biggest flaw with all of these, is that they literally line for line recreate scenes, but they don't say it in the same way, so the jokes don't land, or the way that like information is supposed to be conveyed just sounds weird now.
Sounds weird. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it's that's one of the issues with adaptation with these kind of things is like they're gonna change certain things, some for the better, some for the worse. And when it comes to like dialogue, yeah, you're for nostalgia's sake and like for the icon's sake, you're gonna do the same lines. You're gonna have these iconic lines because it's gonna land the same effectively to people who love the original.
Yeah,
but yeah, there are things that didn't land a lot of the time.
Like with my big one for this, another one is like Scuttle. So Scuttle comes down and then hands her the fork.
Yes.
In the live action movie. And she just kind of casually goes like,
Dinglehopper.
This is the Dinglehopper. Here, take this. And then later they like bring it back a couple times.
Yes.
And I imagine as a first time viewer, it probably didn't sink in even as much. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, all of her like knickknacks and all that stuff, it didn't seem like a really important thing to me here. I knew that was a thing because of the song and because of like, you know, the legend of this movie and how big it is and how it lives on. So yeah, there with something like the Dinglehopper, the fork, or the telescope, whatever, all that stuff. And like when it comes down to when Triton is destroying all of her things and to like punish her, I'm like, I didn't really care because I didn't feel like there was actually that much of a connection to the human world for her. What honestly cemented more sort of her feeling for me, like her desire, was when we saw actually a bit of a change in the Eric character, which was having him be an orphan, be adopted, feel like he doesn't belong, and someone else who also wants to be out in the world in a different way, like doesn't feel like he belongs where he lives in his home and his castle. He wants to be out exploring, and we see Ariel in his little office, his little room with all his little trinkets and such as well, right?
Yeah.
Of his travels and all these things. So to have that really interesting parallel between the two of them was, I thought, actually an interesting adaptation choice, because not only did it give them something that they share, as opposed to just being like madly in love because she's the siren and stuff, to actually have them have human qualities that are connected was nice.
Yeah.
And because of that, I cared more about Ariel's desires to be in the real world because I could see the parallel. Before that, I was just like, oh yeah, she wants to be in the real world. I get it. I know that's what happens. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like even comparing the scene when she was in the shipwreck with
yes,
with the fish. What the fuck is his
Flounder?
name? Flounder. That's the thing too. Flounder in this movie was like nothing.
He's a nothing character.
He was nothing character, and he was great. I loved him as in the cartoon. It was fantastic.
Yeah, he's cute in the cartoon.
So
he's so cute. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe that's the thing too, where I was talking about before, where like, yeah, the adaptation of these little animal characters and stuff, they just don't work in this because they can't have those character moments of like Looney Tunes style little slapstick comedy that the original had. That just doesn't happen in this.
They try, like in like Kiss the Girl, when like Scuttle comes in, like it's not as funny in the new one.
No,
like,
because you have
what is it Buddy Hackett or whatever the fuck coming in, he's chewing the scenery, like it's funny. And then in the new one they get fucking Aquafina and it's just like like, come on, just do it. If you're gonna do the same movie again, do the same movie again. Or completely change it. None of this middle ground bullshit where you have to have seen the original to get it. I think that kind of ruins it.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing too. I think they do these changes because it's like that's the only way for them to feel like making a remake is earned, I guess.
Sure.
For it to be different and feel like it's a more of a current modern adaptation of it. Not modern in the sense that it takes place now, but it's for this modern audience, this modern context. But I'm like, why not just? I mean, if you're gonna do a remake of something that's live action, why not do something that makes it feel like it exists in this real world? And to have the talking animals and stuff when they can't do their fun things, I'm just like, okay, then what's the purpose of them? They're just here to serve a narrative purpose, but I don't care what the narrative purpose is because I don't care about these characters because they're just uninteresting to me.
Well, because in the original, when they're not serving a narrative purpose, they're able to do like really fun slapstick or like a cute moment. Like, hey, the cut song with the chef.
Oh my god, yes.
That was such a fun, like, upbeat moment in the original. It's completely pointless to the plot.
Exactly.
Superfluous, but it's also like just a fun scene. And you know what? I wouldn't have had a problem if they cut it in this because, I mean, I get it because it's a very animated, slapstick heavy scene, and I guess it would be harder for them to achieve it.
That, and also like there is some pretty brutal like even in that scene when I was rewatching it, or I was watching it the first time yesterday, like with all the cutting of the fish and stuff, it could be a little bit scary for kids,
especially with the live action fish this time.
Yeah, but I guess I'm also like, a thought of mine is, if you're gonna make something live action and make it more grounded and feel like it's happens in this real world, which this film tried to do a lot with a lot of things, and then some things didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe go ultra realistic. Like, obviously you have things like Atlantis and mermaids, which aren't real, they're fictional, they're mythical creatures and stuff, but maybe make it be like this more mysterious, fantastical thing that doesn't have to feel like a kid's movie. Like, it could have been PG instead of G. It could have like, you could have made the whole pirate thing more intense. Like, it was already pretty solid in this, but yeah, I don't know. I just think the way they're adapting these things is like, it's live action because it looks cool and it feels more current, but we're just gonna make it for the same audience, which I get, that's Disney, but
it's because it's being made for an audience of people who, I mean, when you really think about the target audience of the adults who would want to watch the Little Mermaid live action,
it's everyone who loved the original.
It doesn't cross over with people who would want an actually gritty version of the story,
or isn't actually like really good adaptation,
or actually a good adaptation. They just want you to do the Cliff's Notes, do the same movie again, but I don't know, make it whatever. Things. But my thing is, again, like, if you're gonna cut stuff, don't add worse stuff.
Yes.
So, like, again, you're gonna cut Le Poisson with the chef, but you're gonna add a song called "The Scuttlebutt."
Scuttlebutt, yeah.
Which I think is easily my least favorite scene in the movie, and it's not even an awful song. It's just like, it just feels so unnecessary. Conveys it actually, if anything, it actually complicates what would be a really simple dialogue exchange of just like, hey, he's gonna get married.
Yes.
But now it's a 6-minute song where Awkwafina raps about it, and you can't really even hear her because she's doing the Lin-Manuel Miranda quick rap.
Yeah.
So it's like, it actually muddies it. It makes it more confusing what's going, instead of expanding.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it does that, and I am a staunch supporter. I love Lin-Manuel Miranda. I love Hamilton. I'm a theater nerd, whatever. But yeah, it felt so shoehorned in there, where I'm like, this song, sure, like, it's fun, but what's the purpose? It didn't feel like it really matches with the rest of the movie. It feels so out of place, and yeah, I mean, yeah, that was the kind of thing that felt like it was maybe supposed to be something that gave Sebastian and Scuttle more things to do to help give them more character, but it didn't really help with that. It just...
Yeah, I mean, that's I guess was the intention, was they were trying to be like, this is, like, they were funny in the original, let's make them funny in this new way. I just don't think it comes across. And I think, yeah, that's the only song of the new songs that I felt didn't fit stylistically.
Yeah.
The other two that they added are, first of all, I don't think they're particularly memorable or good.
Yeah, I didn't even know which ones they were.
It's the Prince Eric one where he which I honestly forgot about until literally right
now.
now.
I didn't know that was... I didn't realize. I thought that was maybe from the original, but I didn't know.
Yeah, so that one was new, and also when she comes on land for the first time and she's like singing in her head, which also...
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that, because it's like, on one hand, this is a scene where we should be getting more insight into what she's thinking, but also it kind of defeats what should be her sacrifice in that moment, which is like, she can't talk. But as the audience, I'm hearing her talk.
Yeah. And
I'm hearing her talk consistently, because they don't even just do it for that one scene. She consistently reprises it like a few times.
And where she's talking in her own head.
And she's talking in her, and there's even one shot where her mouth is literally moving, but it's supposed to be, I'm not saying that doesn't come through, like I know it's in her head, but it's like, as an audience member, I'm not even given the chance to like take in that she made that sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm just hearing her voice the whole rest of the movie.
Yeah. I will say I'm actually a little bit like divided on that too, because I'm just like, I like how they go about portraying that, and like the filmmaking choices of having like, you then go into this weird little void where she's like surrounded by like a black void, and so you can see her singing stuff. So like you're inside her subconscious and stuff. Yeah. I'm like, that is cool, but yeah, it does kind of change the whole canon of, oh, well, she's lost her voice entirely. Like, it's not even in her head. It's just gone.
Yeah,
she's lost her siren. Like that's gone. And I think in the original that's so important, because you have to have these really like focused and really large. A really large performance from Ariel, where she's like, her physicality is really big, so you see how she reacts with Eric, and it's like her love is there even physically. It's not just she can say a million words with how she looks at him, And I think they do that sometimes in this, but I think they could have just embraced it more, because there are so many times when Halle Bailey as Ariel, I think she has some really great physicality as this character. And I think she completely like embodies it. And I think if they had just let that shine through, as opposed to having that song is not even a bad song. I think it's a good song, and it uses the motifs of like the all that stuff. It's nice. It's really nice. Yeah. But it I don't know if it serves any other purpose. It just more maybe subtracts something else that could have had a more impactful difference on like their relationship, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't hate the song, and I will say again, I will give credit where credit is due, that all of the new songs minus the fucking minus Scuttlebutt.
Yeah.
Fuck me. But the other songs, I will say I felt a genuine attempt to capture the tone.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, they felt like an Alan Menken. It felt real.
It could have, like, if it wasn't, like if I hadn't seen the original, I feel like, I mean, and you obviously said you didn't even know.
I had no idea. I thought there were songs that were, I don't know. I didn't even.
Yeah. I felt like I was watching it and I was like, this could have been from the original movie. I don't think they're particularly as good, but that it could also just be nostalgia. So like, I'm not going to pretend as if that's anything, but I'm willing to give, because you know what? The other live action movies have not done that. Because if you remember the Aladdin remake, Jasmine has a new song, which is so stylistically different.
Yeah, it doesn't fit. It feels like very much like a pop song.
It sounds like a pop song ballad in the middle of this like Broadway style musical. Mm-hmm. Same with, I think Beauty and the Beast had that fucking shitty Beast song. Terrible song. Yeah. The Jasmine one at least wasn't like the shittiest song I've ever heard, but that Beast,
it just didn't fit.
Yeah, it just didn't fit.
It stuck out like a Scuttlebutt did. Even though, and that's the thing too, even Scuttlebutt, like it did have that theatrical quality to it. Yeah. Because you have Lin-Manuel Miranda on there, and he's writing with Alan Menken, so it all fits in with like the score. It's just for, there was no purpose for that. That didn't matter.
There's no purpose. I appreciate that the lyrics were more like literal about like what's happening in the movie, as opposed to like the speechless Jasmine song and the Beast song, which are just so vague, like just pop songs you could hear on the radio. Yeah. Just this is written to be nominated for Best Original Song at the Oscars, no other reason. Yeah. These ones, at least, I feel like there was an attempt, but they're all unnecessary.
Yeah, and I think that's also why I didn't mind the Prince Eric song, now that I'm going back to it and thinking about it. Although it was the first time in the movie I really sort of noticed that like Disney auto-tune clear voice thing they do, where they completely mod. So and to be honest, in this movie it was not very noticeable, and I think partially because you also have someone like a Halle Bailey who's such a great singer, you don't need it. You don't need it.
Musically, this one I think was the best. I think the best adaptation of any of the musicals so far was this one, because there was very few points where I was saying to myself like, this sounds like shit. Yeah. Pretty much across the board, all the songs sounded pretty much the same. I wouldn't say any of them are better, right? But I wouldn't say any of them are like bastardized completely.
No, nothing bastardized. And I mean, at some points, I maybe even wish they had done a little more than just be the original song. Like there were points when Ariel was singing where I was like, yeah, she sounds beautiful, but you also get points where Halle is like, she sort of lets her own natural voice there, and she can kind of riff on things. I almost wish like they'd let her have a little more freedom singing. It didn't have to feel so like constricted, like a musical theater like singing style. And I get it, like that is what these songs are meant to be sung as. But I almost wish there was a little more playfulness there, which like whatever.
I wish it either went more one way or more the other way. Like what you're saying, I wish she had more freedom to make it completely her own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or I wish she just, by the book, just did the song exactly the same.
Yeah, because when you add the really nice stuff at the end, where she's harmonizing or whatever, like then it makes the other stuff kind of feel like it's lacking a little bit.
Yeah, because I don't mind her riffing the song, and I think that it could have been good if they gave her more freedom to really make it her own. Absolutely. But I feel like there's some parts where she's trying to capture the original performance, and then other parts where she's really doing her own thing, and it feels like, I don't know, just go one way or the other. Yeah. But I think as a whole, her singing was great. I think she was obviously the best singer in the movie. I don't really know shit about music theory or whatever, singing key, whatever. I don't know. Right. Nobody really sucked, at least.
No one was bad. No one was bad. Not singing wise, at least.
I think Under the Sea is probably the biggest downgrade for me.
Yeah. Yeah, you know why, for me at least, why that song didn't work was less so because of the song. Like, I think Daveed Diggs is a good performer. I don't think. I think they should have found someone else. I think
think so, too.
I think the accent was really hindering his performance because I think it was just so one note because he was trying to sound Jamaican and he sounded a great Jamaican, but like it wasn't a character. It was just the accent for me.
I would have honestly with a lot of these, with any of the anthropomorphic animal characters, like just get the fucking person who did it in the original.
Honestly.
Like I don't understand. If I get live
Yes.
action, you have to you know what I mean. You have to recast unless they look exactly like them. Like I totally get it. But in this case, that wouldn't even matter because they're changing the way people look, which is fine.
Yeah.
For,
There is something
Yeah.
there is something to be said about
Right.
about having professionally trained voice actors to portray these kind of characters as opposed to just getting not even huge names, but names that are somewhat recognizable, like an Aquafina or a Jacob Tremblay or a Daveed Diggs. I'm like, I don't know.
Like who
Who knows Daveed Diggs? I know Daveed Diggs because of Hamilton. Who else knows Daveed Diggs? Like,
who was looking at the poster or the trailer and being like, wait, Daveed Diggs is in this movie? I have to see this.
And Lin-Manuel wrote additional lyrics. Oh my
Yeah,
god! It's like okay, you're aiming at like a niche musical theater market, which I guess maybe that is growing, but it's like
Nobody was won over by that who wasn't already gonna
I
see
wasn't
it.
going to see this movie just because of that. Like that was not the reason I or other people I know in like the theater community would watch this kind of thing.
I liked...
What else? Okay, one of the other things I wanted to talk about adaptation-wise that I enjoyed was how they embraced, I guess, a little more of like the island culture and stuff like that. Like I an additional scene because honestly, watching the original, it's short. It's like 80 minutes. It goes really quickly from Ariel and Eric kind of like him still looking for that other girl to him finally realizing, oh well, maybe she's the one. Before Ursula comes around and fucks it all up. Right. But there's the scene where they're going on the tour of the island, and I think it's way better in this. And then they go into the little market, and it's very beautiful. It's very colorful, very sunny, which I wish I saw more of. I think that a lot of the visuals in this movie were very like dour and dark and just pale and whatever. But the scene with they're in the market and the hat and everything, I think it works so well.
I like that scene. I like that scene a lot because I think it captures all of what made the scene in the original special, and it actually, if anything, adds a little bit more.
It adds to a bit, yeah.
I mean, I think the only thing is I like the scene where she's like riding the horse.
Oh yeah, that's fun. That's fun.
In the original, it's like a very funny slapstick moment. And then in this one, they kind of try to make it into like almost like an action scene for a second.
A little bit, it was shot very poorly. Like shaky cam.
Yeah, I was kind of like whatever. But the rest
shit.
of it, when they're actually in the market and they're exploring and they're dancing around, I'm like, you know what, this is good, and it's an extended version of that scene, and I think that it fit well. Like, it was a good scene.
Yeah, and it also like it kind of subtextually makes a comment on the fact that like, oh yeah, this British Empire is totally has totally colonized this like beautiful island in like the Caribbean or whatever, without actually saying it. But of course, there's nothing like that in the original. Like you have some of the people who work in the castle, like they are from the island too, which is kind of cool. And so you do feel a bit of that representation, I suppose.
I really liked. Yeah, I mean, I think that basically every character in this is a downgrade. Like Grimsby. I love Grimsby in the original. He's so funny.
Yeah, he is funny, but I actually, you know what? That was actually one of the things that I did like more about this. Was because, in the original, you have Prince Eric without any parents in the original, and it's just Grimsby. And Grimsby's a fun sort of like, he's a funny character.
I love Grimsby.
But I actually think in this version, you did need that, like, that voice of consciousness that wasn't just slapstick, because he has that in the original too, but I think having like a really like a man-to-man kind of thing, like sort of a father figure who also is like a foil to Eric's mother, who is much more like strict, I guess, in this, which is an interesting choice as well, just to sort of, I mean, it helps sort of highlight his feeling of non-belonging, which is a sort of a thing we talked about additionally, which is nice. But I thought there were a couple scenes where Grimsby was talking to Eric, right before sort of the end climax where Ursula comes to the island, and he's talking to her about Ariel and stuff, and I think the way that scene was portrayed, saying like, the girl's actually right in front of you. You don't. Why are you looking for this other girl? I think it worked better in the remake, and at least for me, like I thought that there was a much more tender connection there, and I felt like he was a really strong voice of reason that coming out of someone who wasn't just a slapstick kind of goofy guy who whatever is just there. I think it actually just it came across more clearly to me. That was one of the things in the remake that didn't just feel like it was beat for beat. It came out and like there was actually a point being made that spoke to me, as opposed to just being like, oh, they're doing it because it has to be done.
In that way, his character, I guess you could say he was improved in some ways. I just personally, I preferred the slapstick approach.
Of course.
I just thought he was really funny. Like there's no scene in the entirety of the live action Little Mermaid that competes like comedy wise with just the scene where they're sitting at the dinner table and Ariel starts playing with the fork and Grimps is just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, like, and with Sebastian crawling off his plate and all that.
Yeah,
and
like
it works so much better.
There's so many good moments with him that are funny, and I guess we should talk about Ursula.
Oh
Sorry
my god! No, you know
quick,
what? I've been thinking about it. And like, there's some things to say about Ursula.
Into that.
That is for sure.
Dude.
Yeah, you know what though? Oh yeah, Ursula, played by the amazing Melissa McCarthy,
the wickedly talented
Adele Dazeem. This character felt so out of place at times, for me at least, and also like the way that they like physically portrayed her with Melissa McCarthy, and then like all the tentacles and stuff. It felt like they put Melissa McCarthy on top of a green skirt, and then they just added, like, it felt so separate. It felt so detached, and
every time they cut back to her, it felt jarring. I was like, oh right, Ursula's in this movie.
It was I mean, like, maybe that's also just because, like, I don't know, all the other water stuff I thought didn't look fantastic at times. But yeah, with Ursula, they were really trying to lean into, like, you know, the classic Disney villain, the macabre, like very maniacal, pure evil. You know, you do understand that she's like the pariah of her family, and you get her motivation to a certain extent. Like, all she wants to do is just get to Triton.
Yeah,
and I get that. But yeah, the choices that they made in directing Melissa McCarthy, or the choice that she made in that character, didn't really work.
I just felt like it's the same complaint I've been saying about all of these performances. It's the same, but worse. It's like she does identical lines, but the line readings are off, and it's just not as funny when she says it. That's it.
And it's the line readings also, like, and she tries to do like the Ursula kind of voice, where it's like she's that very light British evil villain accent kind of thing. But there are times when then you have like a little bit of like a Melissa McCarthyism come through, and she's a little sassy, and she makes a little ad lib, a little quip. I'm like, that's funny. I think if she just embraced that as Ursula, as this like really big, like, body, like, loud and flamboyant, just like sassy woman, as opposed to just like this conniving evil, I think it could have worked way better. Although, after then watching the original, I don't really know if I loved the original Ursula, like, embodiment. Like, it's, you know, I get it. She's this big, you know, squid monster who's evil and sleek and whatever and gross, and I get it. But part of me is also like, you know, I felt the same way when I watched the original. I was like, okay, they pop her in a little bit here. She's watching through the magic ball. Yeah. You know, she's the evil witch, blah, blah, blah. Same thing we've seen a million times before. So part of that was like a slightly better in this, I guess, with how they handled that. But
I felt like she fit better in the original.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I felt as if I had a point and I lost it.
No worries.
I totally had a point and I lost it. I think it all comes down to the song, Poor Unfortunate Souls. And I think that is where it makes or breaks. And I think in the original, it's really good.
It's better, yeah.
And it's a way more like bombastic number, and the way that she sings it is way better. Mm-hmm. The speed at which she's saying these lyrics, it really comes through. There's a couple lines that are cut from the original song into the new movie, which I thought was odd. There's one line in particular, and I know why they cut it, because I guess they thought it was like problematic or something. Yeah. I don't get that, because she's supposed to be a villainous character. So like what she's saying, there's a line where she's like, what does she say? Like, she's just singing about how like women shouldn't talk or something like that.
Yeah, no, right.
And it's like true, like I guess for like a modern audience, like if she was a good character saying that earnestly and not trying to manipulate her, that would be fine. But I think this just like speaks to a bigger problem with like a lack of media literacy. Like people just don't understand that like villainous characters can say things that aren't,
and be immoral and be say things that are like, I think that's the thing too. Like if she had said that line in this, it could have really, you know, given the audience a really good insight into like how disgusting of a character this is and why we are rooting against her.
Because who was looking to Ursula as the pillar of morality?
No,
you know
nobody.
Like,
nobody.
Nobody's like she's singing this song and she's saying these problematic things for little girls. It's like true, but like she's the villain of the story. That's the point. And like Ariel's story is about overcoming the things that she's saying in that song. Yes. It's literally like to cut a line like that again. I don't think that it's like that line necessarily makes or breaks the whole movie, so I don't want to like blow it up to be a bigger deal than it is. But it's little things like that where you notice that Disney tries to like sanitize certain things about the original story that don't even necessarily need to be changed at all.
Yes.
Because hey, I think in a story like there's so many of these where like their relationship with like race or gender and stuff is like really fucking like problematic and they have to change certain things. Like I get it. But in a case like this, it's literally like the villain character is saying something like, what are we? I don't know. That's just how I feel about it.
I agree with that. I think my biggest issue with Ursula was really just the physicality of it all and how they decided to design the character and how they like actually made it, because there are so many points you just have like Melissa McCarthy kind of like laid out or something, or just like sitting somewhere, she's hanging upside down, and like her like torso and her arms, they're kind of just not moving. They feel very constricted. And then you have like the legs doing stuff, and it's like, it just felt so separate. It felt like she was like a puppet as part of this. It just didn't feel real.
It was just bizarre. Everything about her felt off, and nothing was really clicking with me. Like, even when she was interacting with Ariel, I was just like, this just feels weird. Like any time that the storylines crossed again, I was like, it's weird that she's back in the movie. Like she doesn't feel like she fits. That big fight scene at the end where they fight her,
oh god,
just felt so like, in the original it felt like this big moment, like this was earned, and then in this one it just feels like now they gotta fight Ursula. You know?
Giant Ursula. No, and that's the thing too. Honestly, watching the remake, I was under the impression watching, I'm like, oh yeah, there's no way this is in the original. Because it just felt so goofy. And it felt like a shitty Marvel ending where like, oh, the two heroes have to fight this giant, like, big thing, like, for whatever reason. And I think just the way that they did it in this, with her being so huge and like, shrouded in shadows and lightning and all this stuff, it's just, and maybe that's one of the things that should have been changed for an adaptation like this, because I think there are certain things that really do work in animation, because animation can capture the things that you can't capture in the real world. And so when you try to attempt it in the real world in sort of a visually grounded film like this, where it tries to be at least, it just, the uncanny valley is so crazy, and it feels like fucking unreal, and it just it's so unsettling.
Well, it goes against like the whole thing. It's like, it feels like they make these movies to be like, this is the real life version of it, and then it's like, but they still do these silly moments where like Ursula gets big and shit, and it's just sort of like, what is this? Like, what direction are we going with? I noticed they even deliberately like tried to avoid the uncanny valley when she gets big by making the face super dark, so you couldn't really see it.
Yes,
because imagining the big goofy CGI Melissa McCarthy head would have been like terrible, too much. I guess they got MODOK vibes.
Probably.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I felt like it was poorly done, and I think the reason why they didn't want to cut it was because they're looking at it like, well, we have to adapt the broad strokes. What are the big moments in this story? And one of the big memorable scenes in the original is Ursula gets big and like she gets impaled by that ship, and it's like, in the original that's like, holy shit. Like she just, like, you know, in like a cartoon it's like different when you see the villain literally get impaled, you're like, wow. But in live action you're just sort of like, I mean, like, it's real world. I don't know, like, I'm not, it's weird to say that, like, when things are a little edgier it hits harder in like an animated movie than it does in a live action movie. Right. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like, when that moment hits, you're like, oh fuck, and then in this one you're like, oh, she's gonna get hit by the ship. She got hit by the ship. And
I just think there's just such a divide, like such a detachment between when the things that are supposed to be animated, they make it real life, and it just feels so like so goofy and unreal. And I think that's a thing that was an issue with a lot of this movie. I think the one where I noticed the most, where I had like an issue with the underwater stuff, where I was like, oh, there's a reason this looks better when it's animated, is Under the Sea, that whole number. Because there are so many points where I'm watching like sea turtles dancing, and it's like, first of all, they're doing a thing which in animation is very common. They'll just all do the exact same movement. They just copy and paste the animation of the movement. Yeah. But when it's real life, it doesn't work, because it's like you would never see. I mean, you're not going to see dancing turtles, but you're never going to see any animal in a group doing the exact same movement like robots. It reminded me of like fucking like animatronics on a Disney ride, or reminded me of, you know, like the meme of like the big gorilla monkeys, like the CGI monkeys like dancing and stuff, and they're all doing the exact same movement. It was like that. It just didn't. It felt so unreal. Yeah. And it took me out of the movie like it was really poorly.
That number, I agree. Yeah, it felt like they wanted it to be grander and bigger, so they went for like these bigger, more like big shots of like jellyfish and crazy colors. Like,
yeah, but it's just so distracting.
The more like intimate dance party of the original, I just felt like was stronger.
Yeah.
And you got more of like the sense of like the community, because it's like in the new one, Sebastian was singing lines that were originally given to like other fish.
Yes.
Who were singing, which I thought was odd. I was like, just have another CGI fish come by and say that line.
If you're gonna embrace the CGI animals, just do more.
Just do it. Yeah, like who cares? Like, I don't know. There was that, and then I just felt like overall it was just like it's just a worse version of the original song. I don't know. Absolutely. Like everything is just kind of a weaker. I feel like we're treading over that point a lot. It's the same movie but a little worse, and like whatever. And again, occasionally there's a glimpse of something that's like, hey, that was kind of better. Like I think Eric and Ariel's relationship, you know, like sure, for sure. But I don't know. I like some of that. Oh yeah, speaking of, to go back to that fight at the end, I like that Ariel was the one to steer the ship into her.
Yeah.
I thought that fit better.
I think so too. I mean, I had sort of conflicting thoughts about that.
Yeah.
Part of me is like, I did like how Eric saved the day. It's like, because or else he's kind of helpless.
That's true.
Like, it did feel a little bit like, oh, he has nothing to do at the end here. Because honestly, like, yeah, it's like, I think it's a really smart choice. Have Ariel be the heroine at the end and she saves the day. That's awesome. But I'm also like, you know, her father just died, so I guess it's a revenge thing. But it also makes sense for her to be very emotionally preoccupied at that moment, and for Eric to take control. Yeah. Because in the end, at least, you have that you have a really good reason for Triton to also trust Eric now, because he's the one who saved his daughter. Yeah. And
actually, you're right. You're so right.
So it's like, because of, I guess, you know, just like, yeah, it's a great moment for Ariel, but it almost, for me at least, damaged some of the impact that the action that if Eric had done it, that impact had made.
I didn't think of it that way.
So it's like, I mean, I respect them having her do it. I think it's really cool, but I don't know. They could have had them work together or something. I don't know. Yeah. It didn't need to be one or the other. Yeah. But I think Eric should have been more involved in that final fight in saving Triton. Because, like, without that, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, speaking of saving Triton, I thought it was weird that they
kill him.
That they kill him, and because one of the, for me, weirdly, is like one of the more memorable like visuals of that original film is those weird little Scrunklo guys. Yeah. That like she just captures and like makes into her little Scrunklos. Yeah. And, like, I don't know. I thought that it was weird that they cut, because that was such a memorable. I guess they thought that in live action it would look too fucking scary.
Too scary, too goofy, or that like the whole thing of bringing them back in, like making them back into mermaids from their little Scrunklo guys. Maybe that was way too silly, or just it would just look too fake. I don't know.
I don't understand where they're drawing the line, because it's I know. I see some things in this movie that are so stupid. There's a bird breathing underwater in this movie.
Yeah, it's really weird.
So I'm just like, if that was too far, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
Why can we have a scene where the bird is swimming underwater and breathing and talking to Ariel?
Yeah,
because they're fixing problems in the original that weren't even really problems.
I know. Yeah,
they're like, it doesn't make sense that she has already been to the surface, so they want to make a big deal of when she breaks the surface for the first time. So they have Scuttle just go underwater to talk to her.
Yeah,
and I'm like, but like, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just because she broke the surface doesn't mean she's literally walking on fucking land. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and like, and sure. I mean, I guess also like there are birds who go underwater to catch fish and stuff. But yeah, the way Scuttle goes underwater is like Scuttle can breathe. And it's like, it doesn't.
She was there for a bit.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
And again, I'm not trying to critique the reality of this fucking stupid movie, right? But at the same time, it's like it feels like the movie itself is trying to do that in certain parts and then not in others. So it's like, let's make it consistent or just don't. I don't know. The movie, I think, is it ultimately fails just because no matter what they did, it was never going to be as good as the original. And I don't I don't want to say conclusively that, but it's true. Like no matter what you do, if you're basing it off the framework of these original movies that are all beloved classic movies, there is nothing that you're going to do. Like, who are you to come in here and say, like, we're going to do it better?
Yes.
Because they're not. And
it's not going to happen.
This was the thing I really wanted to talk about is it's almost, I guess, sort of divulging from just the topic of just this movie and just overall Disney as a company, this sort of being their new MO is just remaking old movies. I would like to see a return to the direct-to-video sequels. Now, hear me out. Okay. Hear me out. They're fucking horrible. Like, pretty much across the board, all of those movies are really bad. But there's a certain charm in just how stupid they are. And at the very least, it's not an exact copy-paste of the same script again, but worse.
Oh, yeah, no.
It does at least continue the story, even if it's fucking stupid. Let's take The Little Mermaid, for example. Would you rather have a live-action remake of the movie that is just, it's an hour and a half longer and it's more boring? Or would you rather have a sequel where Ursula's crazy sister comes back for revenge? That's genuinely the plot of The Little Mermaid 2.
Well, doesn't she... doesn't Ariel have a daughter?
She has a daughter, and Ursula's crazy sister comes to town.
That sounds awesome.
It's so stupid. It's like delightfully dumb. All of these movies are fun. It's like Jafar comes back.
Oh,
or
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's...
Fucking, you know what? One of the greatest live-action sequels, although it's not really a sequel, it's more just like a special, is Lion King 1.5.
Yeah.
Like,
you know what I mean? Sure.
I want that kind of shit.
That's what I want. I think if you just do, you know what I mean? Just do more stories in that world. Like, instead of doing this Moana live-action remake that they're going to do, just make Moana 2. Like,
Moana 2, or, I mean, if you're going to do live-action, then... yeah, make it something different.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of endless sequels either, but at the same time, if the choice is endless sequels that add really dumb stuff to the canon or just a really safe, boring thing, I would take the endless derivative sequels
because it's something new.
It's
no matter what, no matter what,
you know
there is. Mean? Yeah, there's room to grow the characters, and maybe there'll be a really good sequel.
And it's because
it happens.
Some of them were okay. You know what I mean? Some of them were actually okay, and it's like I'm not going to be sitting there the entire time, literally comparing exact line deliveries and frames, because it's like this is at least different. Like you're still going to be comparing the movies in your head as you do with any sequel, really. Yeah. But you're not going to be... it's not a direct one-to-one. These lines are exactly the same comparison. It's like...
it's not as tied down.
It's not as tied down. You can really fuck around in the world and just do something
if you really want to.
Add really dumb stuff to the canon. Like the Lilo and Stitch shit. Did you ever see that?
I've only seen the original. Oh yeah, I've only seen the first one.
Lilo and Stitch.
But I'm well aware.
After the first one, it's like the movie... there's like a
Stitch
sequel,
has a glitch.
Stitch has a glitch. And then there's another one where it's like there was a whole TV series. And the pilot of the show is that, you know how Stitch's Experiment 626?
Yes.
They're like, what happened to the other experiments? So they go and they meet like every other one, and they all have these like creative designs. And it's like, again, I'm not saying that this is like high art, but there's at least like more thought being put into something like that than there is something like The Little Mermaid, because it's like somebody has to sit there and like design new characters for this world. You have to come up with something new for these characters to do, even if it's a rehash. But you get to have so many dumb new elements, like there's a Beauty and the Beast Christmas special. You ever see that?
Yes.
And like Tim Curry plays like a CGI grand piano in the Beast's basement, and it's like this character is now part of the universe, and we have to accept that.
Right.
This movie is nothing. It's like it's its own separate boring thing. It's just the same movie again. Do dumb sequels. That's what I think.
That's a really, really solid stance, I think.
And Disney Plus. That's the perfect. Hey, Bob Iger.
Bob Iger.
Listen to me, man. This is it, dude. John Lasseter coming into the Disney company is, in my opinion, the death knell of everything. He fucking ruined everything.
Yeah?
I think so. And I think, you know, regardless of... I'm not even going to talk about the Me Too shit. Because, like, you know, he fucked... That's that's horrible.
Again now.
But even as just a creative, I think that he absolutely destroyed the Disney company creatively. Not financially, but creatively, he fucking ruined it. As he came in there and he said, like, we're going to cancel all the sequels. Did you know that? That was a John Lasseter note.
Didn't know that,
He came in, he saw they were doing Dumbo 2, so they were doing all these movies, and he said, fuck you, and he canceled all of them. There's actually, you can buy DVDs now from, like, the 2006, I think, 2007, and there's trailers for Dumbo 2.
Oh my god,
yeah,
really?
It's literally like a work in progress, like, we are making Dumbo 2. Wow. Never came out. Because he came in there and he said, fuck you. No, and he canceled Chicken Little 2. He canceled Meet the Robinsons 2.
What?
Yeah.
Fuck you, John
Fuck
Lasseter.
you. We could have had Chicken Little 2. If John Lasseter hadn't got his fucking grubby little hands in there, we would have had
grubby
Chicken
little
Little 2.
All over the place, let's be clear.
Yeah. By the way, it was called... By the way... Oh, true. Yes. It was called Chicken Little 2 Mission to Mars. You telling me you don't want to see Chicken Little go to Mars?
Chicken Little was gonna go to fucking Mars?
Chicken Little was gonna go to Mars, guys. And this is why. And we're still feeling the effects of this, because John Lasseter coming in there and saying, we can't do sequels, then they think, well, what else can we do? What if we remade them in live action? He goes, yeah, sure, I guess that's fine. Because the entire animation division, as part of the Pixar deal, was that he got to run everything. So he controlled all of the animated space.
So he wouldn't let him do anything else.
So the live action, now, they had to make a whole separate team to do Now How Can We Profit? Live action remakes. The sequels were funny, they were stupid, they were shit, but at least they weren't horribly boring for the most part. Some of them.
And honestly, they're probably a lot cheaper to make.
They're a lot cheaper to make, probably. I think so. Yeah, I think so. On a TV animation budget, as opposed to this shit, this was probably a $200 million production. And where did the money go?
Yeah, I'm look
down the fucking toilet.
Well, that's what talk about too. This movie is like, there's a lot of moments where I'm looking at it and I'm like, for such a special effects heavy movie, things did not always land for me.
It looked just okay.
Yeah.
I'll say that it looked better than I expected it to from the trailer. I thought that the underwater effects looked worse.
You think so, eh?
They still don't look good, but I think it looked a little better than I thought it was gonna.
Let's see the budget here.
Yeah, what is the budget? Holy fuck! Are you kidding me? $250 million.
$250 million.
A quarter of a billion.
And now, I know this movie is not going to have any issue making a profit. You know, they have to turn 500 million plus, about 750 to have a really solid profit.
They're going to do it in 5
days.
days.
And they're going to be fine. They're going to be, they're going to be done. They're going to be like, well above their budget within like...
That's just theatrically.
Oh, yeah.
Merch sales... physical media doesn't really do that well. But, Disney adults, they'll buy.
Disney adults will buy.
They'll buy it. They'll buy the DVD. They'll buy the,
disc.
you know what I mean? They'll buy the plush toys, the new plush toys that they're going to start selling. And really, at the end of the day, what these movies are for is to just put the brand back in the public consciousness. You remember The Little Mermaid. So you want to even, so
it's so safe. It's way too safe.
Because it doesn't even just boost this movie, because now you're getting the streams on Disney Plus of the original. You're getting people...
I watched on Disney Plus yesterday, yeah.
People going out and buying the DVDs of the original, the Blu-rays, if they, so choose, if they want to buy the toys, if they want to buy merch. You know what I mean? You go to stores right now. I'm seeing Little Mermaid merch.
Yes.
That's really what this is for, is it's to boost just the Little Mermaid brand again. Get new generation of kids to want to watch it. And this movie's in theaters. Even if you can't take your kid to see the new one right away, hey, they have the original on Disney Plus, and now you've just created a new fan for life.
Yeah,
that's how Disney gets everybody.
Yeah, and I think that's how I feel about this movie in general. Like, I do not think this movie is a bad movie. It is just, to me, not really a movie. Like, it doesn't have its own identity. It doesn't like. It's unnecessary just because we have the original, which has that Disney magic. This does not have that Disney magic. It just feels like just an empty shell of the old being new because they can. And sure, I get it. Like, Disney has had a bit of a hard time recently with certain things, and they probably lost some money, although it's not like they're going to lose a lot of money. They have the parks. That's their biggest moneymaker. Like, the movies are just, that's all just whatever.
They're going to be fine.
That's just extra. They'll be fine. Yeah. But... I just think it's so unnecessary, and I think it just feels so shallow, and it's because you know what, Bob Iger recently said something that was really smart, and he's talking about like Pixar and stuff too. He's like, he's all for sequels, and that's why they're going to do Toy Story 5 for whatever reason, but he's like, we also need to have originals, because with originals, if they're really good, we put all the effort into them that we're doing on these sequels, then we have room to make more sequels. It's like, that's smart business. no matter what, as much of a shill you want to say he is for, making so many sequels and remakes and stuff, like, this is why a movie like this is not a good choice when you could do something new.
No, I mean, because Bob Iger, I actually don't completely hate Bob Iger.
No, I respect him a lot.
I think that he genuinely does have an eye for like good creative stories and
storytellers, absolutely.
But I think that obviously this just comes down to more executive meddling under him. I think that really is the undoing, because it was his idea really to buy Pixar. That was his decision.
Yeah, he spearheaded that.
He was like, because if you heard the story where like he went to the Disney parks when he first became CEO, and he noticed that in like the parades, the biggest characters were all Pixar owned characters. Like the ones that the kids were getting really excited about. It wasn't Mickey Mouse. It was Woody and Buzz and Monsters Inc. and fucking all these Finding Nemo and The Incredibles. But you know what I mean? This new generation of stories, and like he saw that, right? But then with everything that happened after that Pixar buyout, after they bought Pixar, I think was really the moment the Disney company changed. And I think the moment that marks it is after Enchanted, and with the new CGI logo that came out around like 2007. I think starting around there, they were trending okay, and then it 2011-ish, it all kind of just Cars 2. I think Pixar is really the good benchmark for how Disney as a whole kind of went down.
Because Cars 2 was
2011,
and that was their second sequel, right?
Yes.
Because
Toy
Story 2 is its own other whole story.
Yeah, the Pixar,
that was gonna be direct to DVD or direct to video, right?
It was. So. There's a whole rabbit hole to go down with Pixar sequels, and I'm sure one day I'll give you the whole
for sure
the whole story. There's so many stories, but with but Cars 2, I really do think Cars, and I don't even hate Cars 2. I think Cars 2 I fall under the same thing I'm talking about, where these sequels are so fucking stupid that I kind of love it. It's like, how do you make a sequel to Cars? You have their spies now, whatever. So sure, it's stupid, but also like I don't care about the Cars. I mean, I know you do. I'm sorry to say that.
I love the first Cars. So because of that, Cars 2 is it's blasphemy. It's blasphemy, and it's a plot. It's a terrorist plot to kill the Queen Car of England.
Okay, but like you saying that out loud, you have to.
Oh, fucking hilarious! Oh yeah, no, it's a totally watchable movie. I can watch it and just laugh at it. But as a kid, I was like,
disappointing.
I need more lightning. And that's why Cars 3 was such like a great thing, even though it's not even that great of a movie. It's just like back to the racing and
back to the racing.
I loved that. But
so yeah, Little Mermaid. I think
Little Mermaid.
I think have we set our piece on the Little Mermaid?
I think so. I think how should we score this?
I mean, I usually do like out of 10. Do you do out of 5?
I do out of 10. Out of 10.
I like out of 10. Let's do out of 10.
What is your out of 10 rating?
My out of 10 is I'm gonna give it a solid 3 out of 10. I think I'm gonna go 3 out of 10. I can't. I mean, I would almost be tempted to say 2.
Fair enough.
But I think 3 is. I think I'm being more than fair.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, I think I'd give this 4 scuttlebutts out of 10. Is what I would give this. It's like it's unnecessary, and there are certain parts that are charming, and after seeing the original now, there are certain adaptation choices that were smart and I think added to it a little bit and how to flesh out these characters. But when it really just comes down to it, there's nothing that they did in remaking it that did it any better. Like, really nothing.
Yeah, it's just ultimately it was a pointless movie.
Yeah, I mean the only point now is reintroducing this character to this generation, which I mean, great. Hopefully, it just brings more attention to the original.
Yeah,
and the saving grace of this movie will be introducing this character and the original to this generation's children, and hopefully not having this movie be like their generation's Ariel, but hopefully having the original be, and not say that this Ariel's bad, but it's almost like, don't let this movie be what you identify with the legacy of that character.
I just think it's bizarre to imagine a world where like the kids of today are growing up watching these instead of the original. Like, again, I don't want to be kids these, kids these days, but like Can you imagine?
It's not even kids these days. It's corporations these days and how they market to these kids because they know how they're going to react and how they're going to get their fucking money.
That's the fucking nightmare. All right, let's
move on.
Let's move on.
So that was our Little Mermaid talk. We don't need to go for forever talking about other things, but I think it'd be nice for us to talk about some more just current stuff.
Yeah,
because I think we have some perspectives about things we should talk about.
Let's do it.
I think. Do you want to talk about the news or want to talk about box office?
Ooh,
what are you feeling?
Wow, we should maybe thought about this. I think let's do the box office / like what are we excited about this year?
What are we excited about?
Kind
Sure.
of thing. Like we'll go through the summer movies that are coming out
Sure.
and then be like talk about what we think of the movie and then also like if we think it'll be successful kind of thing.
Okay, sure. All right, so let's go by calendar.
Sort by and then sort by.
Release
Sorry,
date.
folks at home. Maybe we'll cut this part out in the edit.
That's okay.
I don't know. Or we'll keep it.
okay.
Fuck, I think it's funny. Sort by
Does that go backwards?
newest or earliest first. There you go. This is, I think, a pretty accurate calendar of like a lot of the big releases.
Yeah.
There's probably a couple of things missing from here, but
That's okay. Yeah, this is I think these are the big
especially
things.
summer. I think I got pretty much all of them.
Oh yeah, and this is what we're really talking about here. So let's jump into a little bit. We want to talk about sort of it's the summer has kind of just started the summer movie season. I think it sort of really begun with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was a really big kickoff. Maybe
even Mario.
Mario made I think it's at 1.3 billion dollars now.
I heard it passed The Lion King domestically.
Yeah, as one. It's
insane.
crazy. I still haven't seen it. I need to see it. At this
Really?
point, I never had the chance. I didn't see it with you guys here.
Well, I thought it was just awful as well. So
You thought it was bad, eh?
I thought it was bad. I mean, I liked it more than I liked Little Mermaid.
That's something. That's a really good metric to compare by. I think
It was slightly better.
and it made a lot more than Black Adam, so that's we're good on that.
I think that's the new bar.
That's
right?
the new
It's
bar.
Black Adam.
Yeah. So those came out. Super Mario Brothers, Guardians of the Galaxy this weekend. Oh, you know what? Actually, what came out before Little Mermaid was Fast X. Actually, it's weird to order it this way, but Fast X came out last weekend.
I remember
Weird,
that.
like only made I think 60 million domestic, but made total worldwide over 200 million opening weekend. So it's like
it's gonna do what I call the Ice Age effect. Which is
gonna have legs or
domestically
not
it's
great.
gonna go downhill.
Okay.
And then worldwide, it's gonna do fucking gang. Did you know this with the Ice Age?
I didn't
movies?
know this. No.
So the Ice Age movies, as they go on. Well, I mean, except for five, they both just went down.
Okay.
But like each one made less domestically, but worldwide, it just kept going
Really?
up. Yeah. So
Wow.
like Ice Age 4 made like $700 million or something crazy like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it was all overseas. It only made like 80 million domestic or something, but overseas
shit.
it made like fucking gangbusters crazy money.
I wonder why.
I think it's because of Scrat.
You're probably
And because
right.
of like the
You're
way that
probably right.
any sort of slapstick comedy translates a lot better overseas than like
Well, yeah, because there's no dialogue. It
character-based,
doesn't matter. It's all just funny.
Yeah.
All that stuff is just
But anyway, I always have to fucking make it about some
Hey,
animated
no,
movie.
it's always good to go back to that kind of stuff.
But I think that's sort
gonna
of
have
where
the Ice
Fast
Age
X
effect.
is going.
I just think it's gonna it has like the effect of what the Fast franchises have for a long time, where it's huge domestically. I mean, this is like, and I think also part of what's helping it overseas is the fact that they announced like they spoiled at the end that Dwayne Johnson is back. And he has a cameo.
Yeah.
And Dwayne Johnson is a huge movie star, but really he's a huge movie star overseas.
Yeah.
Like for the longest time, like he had that movie was a Skyscraper. Or is that what it's called?
Yeah, I know the one where he jumps in the whatever.
Like, and that movie did so well in China, especially. Like that is the market for those kind of movies.
Yeah, they love them over there.
They love that.
Yeah.
Love that dumb
They love
action, that fun, like whatever, the out of this world. I think there is such a North American, like Western society kind of thing where we love things to be super grounded, and anything that's not and it's just fun and explosions, like they just don't care. Which is like, good for them. Fair enough. This movie, it needs to make the money. They want to still have it be a trilogy apparently for the rest of this thing, which I'm like, why the fuck? Unless it's just like, because they had Dwayne Johnson back, and if they think they can actually get more money back and start, have this trilogy at least have a good trajectory. I don't know. But
I haven't seen any of these. Actually, you know what? I've seen Hobbs and Shaw, which is a weird one to be the only one I've seen. I liked it. It was very funny.
I've heard it's very funny. Yeah.
So
that movie almost made $1 billion. That movie had a higher opening box office. A spin-off had a higher opening box office than Fast X did. Fast 10. Isn't that crazy?
So funny. That's so funny. And it, you know, like,
God.
I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna watch them all at some point, and honestly, I think I'm gonna have the opposite thing, because people say that it gets worse as it goes along. I think I'm just gonna think it gets better. If it gets dumber as it goes on, I'm gonna like them more as it goes on.
I guess so, eh? Yeah, I don't
shit.
know. I've only seen the first, I guess, 3. I've seen the Fast and the Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious, and Tokyo Drift. I've seen those 3, and none of them are very good.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's never really drawn me into more of them. But like, you know, even in elementary school, like when Furious 7 came out or something, and all the kids in the class were like, "Oh, we love this shit," and we just saw Straight Outta Compton, and I'm like, "You're like 12, like what?" And they're like, "It's awesome." I'm like, "Okay."
It's like,
sure.
I mean, because I see clips of these movies, and it's like it's like we hacked into the mainframe and we're driving every car in New York City at once. And it's like, you know what I mean?
Okay,
like,
sure,
that's epic.
Whatever,
Sure.
Fuck it,
Or
sure.
Dwayne Johnson hanging off a cliff while holding a truck and also a helicopter. But he's just a guy.
He's just
They're
a
not
guy.
superheroes. They're just guys.
Yeah.
And I think it's literally a cartoon. Anyway, Fast X. Let's move
Move
next
on.
movie. Next movie.
So after that, it looks like the next upcoming one is Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny, which
shit.
is crazy, and I'm really, really disappointed in what I've been hearing about this.
I'm so. I just think it's fun. I just think it's hilarious.
Do you?
Like the confidence that they had to release this movie this early
At Cannes,
at
like
Cannes is like shock. It's shocking to me that they really.
Yeah.
That means that they really honestly thought that it was gonna get like gangbusters reviews at the gate. Like people were gonna love this.
The thing is, if I were in the shoes, I'd probably think the same thing. It's James Mangold directing it. He fucking did Logan. He did 3:10 to Yuma. He did Ford versus Ferrari, one of my favorite movies of the last few years. Like,
I think the problem is when you have these really talented directors attached to these big
Studio,
Disney-owned
yes.
IPs. At the end of the day, their name is on it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's probably just a movie made by committee. I don't want to
know,
confirm it.
I know.
Because you know what? I really like those original 3 Indiana Jones movies.
Oh, me too. They're fantastic.
I have yet to actually see Crystal Skull. I've heard mixed things about it, of course. That's sort of the whole thing with that one. But this one actually was interesting to me. Like, those trailers were pretty good. I thought the action looked pretty interesting. That scene where, like, he comes in with the whip and then they all point guns at him. I was like, that's, you know what I mean?
hilarious.
Like, that's hilarious. That's
Yes.
a good scene. But, I don't know, dude. Like, it just feels it's worrying me now. I'm probably still gonna see it though.
I am.
Yeah.
This is one of my most anticipated movies of the year. I love Indiana Jones. I love Harrison Ford. I love Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I think she's gonna be fantastic. I hope she's gonna be fantastic in it.
Yeah.
I love the idea of it being set in like the 60s, like during the space age. Like,
Love it.
I think it's such an interesting choice.
I mean, I do think that if we're talking business wise, I don't think it's gonna do as well as they wanted it to, just because of those reviews. Because people were really thinking, like, because people were burned already by Crystal Skull. So if this one isn't a bang on the dead center like hit, people are just gonna skip it. They'll say, well, I'll wait till it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And you're gonna hear that a lot. People say, I'll wait.
I'm interested to see if there's anything about.
Is there tracking yet for that
I
one?
don't know. I'm gonna see.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. It's interesting that it's kind of out of order because Spider-Man is like a few days from now. I don't know why on this list it's not. Probably because of Cannes, actually.
Oh, you know what? Also, they moved it up. Maybe it's not officially on.
They did move it up.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Oh no,
Because it's coming out June 2nd.
What? Spider-Verse is coming out June 2nd.
That's what it says here. Yeah, 6.
No. Oh, I thought you were talking about Indiana Jones for a sec.
Yeah, no, Indiana Jones is coming out. I don't know when
That's coming out later.
That's coming out later
I
in
think
the
on
summer.
the list we're looking at, it's counting
It's
it as
earlier
earlier
because of Cannes. Yeah,
Yeah. Anyway,
that's right.
so I guess we'll just keep using the Cannes list. So sorry, we're gonna be talking about some things a little
out of order, but that's
whatever.
okay. Yeah.
Martin Scorsese, Killers of the Flower Moon.
I think it looks. Have you seen the trailer?
I didn't see the trailer, but I'm sure it'll be good.
I
Leo's
think
in
it looks fantastic.
Scorsese, I'm sure
It's 3.5 hours. It's gonna be epic. It's gonna be great.
and it'll make just enough money that it'll do fine. That's
Oh,
what I think. I don't think
maybe.
it's gonna bomb.
You know what though? It doesn't even matter because it's an Apple TV movie.
Yeah, so they
It's
don't
gonna
care.
be. It's gonna. I mean, I hope it has a full wide release. It's gonna be in
Oh,
theaters
is
for a
it?
while.
It is going to theaters.
It's
though,
going.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's gonna be theaters only, and then it's gonna be like a 2 months later coming, or a month or two later coming out on Apple TV. So like money wise, it doesn't matter if it doesn't make its money back or not. It's Apple. Like once again, they're making movies just for the prestige. They don't need to. They could make movies for years that make no money and they'll be fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll probably check it out. I'll probably see it in theaters even, to be honest.
The budget of this movie though is also $200 million.
Are you serious? Wow.
because of how much I think it's because it's really all practical. Like it's all practical. They built these sets.
I mean, I don't even really know the plot of it. I just looked it up on Letterboxd, something about an oil company or is it people dying or something.
Yeah, oil company, and it's these indigenous women, I believe, on this like reserve, these the Osage nation and stuff like that, and it's like, yeah, it's like this intrigue sort of thing. I think it looks really
cool.
interesting.
Yeah, I saw posters and stuff. It looks like a fun. I mean, not fun. Maybe it's probably the wrong word, but you know, Martin Scorsese,
very good movie.
Great director.
Yeah.
Leo, fucking awesome actor. Like put the two of them together. Wolf of Wall Street. You get Dynamite. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Always. Yeah, maybe another best director and best actor for them. Maybe you never know. The Departed was the last time he got best director. The only time he's gotten best director. So
I think he'll get nominated. I think he'll get nominated this year for sure. I think Leo will probably get nominated. Yeah. I mean, unless it fucking sucks. But the odds
who knows?
Low.
I mean,
didn't it already premiere and people fucking love it?
People love it. It's like 90-something% Rotten Tomatoes already.
Asteroid City.
I don't even know. Are you a big Wes Anderson guy?
I have seen only like 3 of his movies. I liked all of them.
Yep.
And this one in particular, for some reason, is really interesting to me. I think I love the color palette.
Oh my god, me too.
I love the cast.
Cast is crazy.
It feels like it was like tailor made to interest me specifically. Like all of the people on that cast are people I like. So I'm pretty excited about this. I'm 100% I will be there.
My favorite Letterboxd review for this movie so far is features possibly the greatest freaky little guy in cinema history. Just because of that alone, this is going to be just fantastic.
Nah, I can't wait.
Again, another movie that's not going to be a big box office hit, but I'm sure people will love.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm excited.
What's next? Elemental? You are the Pixar man, the Mr. Pixar.
I'll give you the
Mr. Lasseter. No,
Mr. Lasseter. No, I'll give you the scoop on.
What are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts on Elemental? I think. So the director of this movie is a guy named Peter Sohn.
Yep.
Okay. Now this guy, I believe, only has 1 feature credit to his name at the moment, and when I tell you what it is, you're gonna go, "Oh no!" And that is The Good Dinosaur. Now,
never seen it.
Okay, well that's good.
But it has reputation.
It has the reputation, and I'm gonna explain why. So a lot of people see that and they see a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame him for that movie. That is a movie that went through, 10 years of development hell.
Yeah, that was one of those movies that for some reason was only one of the ones like stuck around.
And it changed hands a few times,
right,
like director-wise. So I think he was just the guy who was slapped on it at the end, like, you have to take credit for this.
Right.
And I think he took one for the team kind of thing, getting the credit for that movie. And this one... It's a very, when you listen to this guy in interviews talk about his process and coming up with this movie, it's a very personal story about like his parents and like his culture and like the way that like his family like his parents met and like their relationship.
Yeah.
And I think all of that is just great until you have to sit there in the fucking Pixar boardroom and you go, I'd like to tell a personal story about how my parents met, and they go, okay, but what's the Pixar thing? What's the like magic thing that has to happen that like that makes it Pixar?
Right.
So they go, what if they were like, since your parents were different when they met, what if one of them's fire and one of them's water and they're like elements in an element world? It's just Inside Out, but with elements.
Inside Out and also Zootopia.
And also the same thing. The problem is Pixar and Disney with, again, this all goes back to fucking John Lasseter, where at the time, very novel concept. One of my favorite movies of all time, Monsters, Inc. is guilty of this too. I'm going to get to this point. Is that they take these creative worlds, right? They take these like these concepts you're familiar with, monsters in your closet, toys coming in your room, and they turn it almost into like an office setting. They make it like a very modern day, like almost workplace sort of thing.
Yeah.
Coco, they get going into the afterlife as like the DMV. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like they take these concepts and they really make it they modernize it.
Yeah, it feels human.
And they make it feel human, but human in like a corporate-y, businessy way. Not in the way that like I'm saying the movie feels like a corporate executive.
But the way they portray those
literally
things.
The way that it's portrayed is like it's as if everything's run by like corporations and stuff like that. Like, okay, bang on. But at a certain point, we have done this so many fucking times that it feels so done. Yeah. And I think the reason why people are so angry at this one, and this feels like a real breaking point, is just because this is the moment everybody figured it out. I think this was
People
the one.
realize it just feels the same. Nothing new.
And it's unfortunate that this was the one that it had to happen to. I mean, maybe I'll see the movie and I'll fucking hate it, and I'll be like, no, this is the one that deserves it. But you know what? I think this Peter Sohn guy seems like a nice gentleman. And the way that he talks about the movie, it sounds like he really did have like a genuine passion for like telling the story of his parents. And maybe there's going to be some effective moments in here.
Maybe.
But I can understand why people are kind of turning on this one before it's even out there.
Right.
Because it just feels very safe, just judging by the marketing. I predict bomb. Like
Me too.
I predict next level, like studio redefining bomb with this one. Because if Lightyear and all these ones in a row weren't going to do it, this will be another one. And maybe, I mean, because what's next? What's the next Pixar movie? Isn't it like fucking Toy Story 4 or Toy Story 5 or some shit?
I don't know. Is Wish Pixar or no?
Wish is Disney. We'll get to that probably
Okay.
next. Well, I mean, we're just doing summer, right?
Just summer. So that's ahead of now.
Well, yeah, Wish we'll talk about later in later episodes.
Yeah.
With Elemental, I'm cautiously optimistic. I don't think it's gonna be awful.
No. I mean, that's the thing too. I think this movie actually, like, I like the animation style. I do like what they're going with here, and I think it's an interesting story. I do hope there is something really big in this film that gives it a different identity, that it doesn't make it feel like what it's being advertised as completely.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm obviously out of the loop when it comes to Pixar stuff, far less than you are, because I don't, I'm not really. Yeah. That's not my forte. So I'm not, seeing the vitriol and the people that actually like really shit on this movie.
Yeah.
I'm just not hearing anything about it. Based on what I'm hearing, it's just like nothing.
And nobody seems to really be caring about it. And I think it's going to come out with a big thud. Like no one's even going to remember it. And it's going to fade away just as quickly.
It'll probably
pop up on Disney Plus.
It'll be on Disney Plus within less than a month.
Yeah, within less than a month.
It wouldn't surprise me, unfortunately.
And I think it's unfortunate that, again, another original idea is kind of getting fucked over. But at the same time, again, I'm seeing a lot of people say, well, you can't hate on Pixar for making endless sequels, but then also not praise their originals when they come out with them. But at the same time, like, I think we have a right at a certain point as fans to be like, we demand a little more. You know what I mean? Yeah. I would like to see, I mean, with Pete Docter as the head of Pixar right now, like, I was hoping to see a little more big swings creatively, and there's a couple things he's done, like with Turning Red, and Soul, and Luca. You can definitely see like he is aiming for these more creator-driven stories. Absolutely. But it's
you just have to weed out what is actually going to be groundbreaking, what's going to be a new story, because clearly Elemental does not seem terribly new.
Not terribly new. I'd like to hope that when it comes out, I am hopeful. And hey, it's going to premiere at Cannes as well.
Is it really?
I did not know that. It's the finale. It's like it's the final film it can. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's one of the last.
Can you imagine if Disney has two? Oh, I guess Asteroid City is also. It's a Fox. It's Fox. But or 20th Century Studios now, whatever, owned by Disney. But if Indiana Jones and Elemental both fucking flop at Cannes, oh brother.
Oh boy. I mean, hey, they don't. I know they don't usually premiere their big animated movies. This was rare.
This was like speaking to like their confidence, and I'm like, oh god, maybe it's just really blind confidence.
They do it very rarely. Yeah. Very few animated movies premiere at Cannes, and when they do, it's usually confidence or like DreamWorks actually usually did it a lot. Did they really? They premiered Shrek there, and they premiered an B movie as well. Yeah. Oh no, for real. Not even joking. Jerry Seinfeld ziplined down in a bee costume for the premiere of Dead at Cannes. I'll show you.
You're gonna have to include that in this because you're gaslighting me right now. There's no way. There's absolutely no way.
That's serious. Okay. Anyway, sorry. I hijacked.
No,
that.
It's okay. So after Elemental is Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, directed by I think. Let me look this up. I want to say it's Stephen DeKnight.
Who? No offense, Stephen DeKnight. Okay, Stephen Caple Jr.
Oh, Stephen Caple Jr. Sorry, not Stephen DeKnight.
Capel.
I'm thinking Stephen DeKnight because people were. I just heard a thing about people were talking about.
Creed 2 is under his belt. Okay.
Oh, I did know that. Creed 2 is pretty good.
I haven't seen the Creed movies, so I don't know, but I believe that they're good. They look good.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard they're all good. The second one is good.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the third one though. But this just looks like any Transformers movie.
Yeah, I don't.
Have you seen Bumblebee?
No. heard that one's good.
I like Bumblebee because Bumblebee is a very simple story. It has that like first Transformers feel, like Sam Witwicky finding Bumblebee, but it just sticks to that and it feels so nice. Yeah. I guess this is supposed to be like about 10 years later because that's set in the 80s and this is in the 90s.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess it's all connected, but like
Pete Davidson's in this movie.
Pete Davidson, yeah, and Liza
Liza
Koshy. Liza Koshy's in this too, and they both play Transformers.
Okay.
I think
I haven't seen any of them. I'll be honest with you. That is another blind spot on my cinematic radar. Is Transformers.
I've seen almost all of them, which I regret doing for the most part, just to my brain.
Yeah.
The first one is like fun. The first
brain.
one's like fun, and I get it. Second one was made during the first writer's strike, and so it's a mess.
Oh boy.
It was like basically just based on like a few page outline by Michael Bay. The third one I thought was really cool when it came out, but I've seen it, recently, and it's terrible. I never finished Age of Extinction. Was that what it was called? I think?
Oh, with the dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs. I saw part of it was lame, and then for some reason my dad and I on a holiday or like one of those days like the schools are closed, a PD day or whatever.
Yeah.
He and I went to go see The Last Night. And The Last Night is Mark Wahlberg.
Isn't that the one where it turns out that like the Transformers have existed since like medieval times and like they fought with like King Arthur and stuff?
Yes, and Stanley Tucci is Merlin. And I'm like, what the actual fuck?
That's funny.
So anyways, and that's just all the Transformers movies leading up to Bumblebee were terrible. Bumblebee like really, I think, refreshed what this could be. But I think that this one just looks to me a lot like what the originals looked like, although it's giving a little more of like what the classic cartoons were. It feels a little more like it's leaning into sort of that more like fun aspect of the Transformers. Doesn't feel as dour and like gritty as Michael Bay made it, which is like fair enough. Make it more fun. But I just don't know why they didn't just have it be a Bumblebee 2, bring back Haley Steinfeld, do more with that, and keep expanding it out.
I think Bumblebee just didn't do as well as they wanted it to.
Money-wise, it didn't. Critically, it did great. And
critically, it did well, right?
And audiences loved it after they saw it, for the most part, not in theaters.
It looked good, I have to say.
It's
like
really
it didn't
fun.
look bad. I mean,
really
was it?
fun.
I know Travis Knight did it, and he's great.
Yeah, Kaboom 2 Strings guy. Yeah, he's fantastic.
Did you know that he actually owns Leica Studios?
Yep.
Yeah, with like Nike money or whatever.
Really?
Yeah, because his dad is the CEO of Nike. So the reason why
there's too much. There's too many things. This world is not real.
There's so much lore, dude. Yeah.
How do you think this movie's gonna do?
This one's a tough one to say. I don't think it's gonna like outright bomb or anything, but I really don't think it's gonna hit like any sort of projected like. The problem with right now specifically is there's so many fucking movies coming out in just like June and July.
Yeah.
I don't know what anybody was thinking, to be honest with you. It really feels like they fucked up. There's way too much shit really close together. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, Little Mermaid, Fast X, Spider-Man, all this shit are like directly in a row, and it feels like they should have spaced them out better. Like, I think Guardians, with the word of mouth that it had and all of that, could have been like an easy billion if they dropped it at like a time that wasn't so fucking crowded with other nonsense coming down the pipe.
And you know what? Guardians could still make $1 billion, but I mean, it's more likely it makes like between 7 and 8, and it can get into sort of that higher end range of some of the Phase 4, Phase 5 stuff.
As long as it outgrosses the first one, it'll be fine, and I'll be happy.
Yeah,
it couldn't have happened to a better movie. Damn it! I'm glad the word of mouth. It
is fantastic.
Love that.
Really, a really nice and great start to the summer movie season. I think was that movie coming out then.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so
Transformers: Rise of the Beast.
What's it tracking at?
Now it's tracking opening weekend 3 days, so technically Thursday through to Sunday.
Okay.
Is tracking on the low end $37 million.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And high end, $46 million.
Oh boy.
Now, many movies would be great. Like that's a great amount of money, but not for. I'm very curious.
The budget's got to be
at least
$100-200 million though. No.
It's got to be. Although the movie is less than 2 hours, which is rare for a Transformers movie.
Oh, thank God! I might actually see this one.
I think it's like the shortest one.
Okay, let's drop that. Let's see.
$200 million. And if we look at and this could be a similar situation with Fast X where it does really well internationally because things like Transformers, they do have a really big international market.
They do.
Just because the toys and all that stuff and it's again big action.
That's the other thing is they're really, I think it's really merch. The problem is like kids don't even like buy toys anymore.
Yeah.
Like they just play on their fucking iPad.
And now this is the estimated what it could make, and this is like this is a couple weeks out from now, about 2 weeks I think actually from today. It's estimated that it can make domestically total in its full run between 75 million and 103 million. That's not a lot of money. Unless this movie makes at least $300 million worldwide on top of that, that's the only way this movie can break even.
Overseas, I think they're just really banking on this doing really well overseas.
And it probably will. It probably will. It's Transformers.
I mean, the problem is there's just so much other shit.
There is so much
coming out.
I know.
Like between Fast X and the new Spider-Man, which we're going to talk about in a second.
Yeah.
And the Flash,
yeah.
and Barbie,
yeah.
and Oppenheimer, and fucking all this other shit. The Meg 2, The Trench.
Honestly, and Transformers is sandwiched in between a really dangerous time here because it's the week between when Spider-Man comes out and then when the Flash comes out.
Are you serious?
Yes.
That is like the worst
That's
time.
June 9th. The Flash is June 16th, and the week before that, June 2nd, the Spider-Man. And both Spider-Man and the Flash are tracking really well. I think the Flash, and this is something that's like been talked about a lot recently, the Flash is going to do well because of the word of mouth from Guardians of the Galaxy and the word of mouth of this movie. People are loving this movie. No matter what happened with Ezra Miller, this movie is is tracking really well. Both, honestly, actually, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and The Flash have very nearly identical projections. Really? Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse on the low end is projected to make 95 million.
Woo! Let's go!
On the high end, 130 million.
Oh, I think it's gonna come above projections. I really do.
I think it's gonna reach the high end of those projections.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna do really well worldwide because it did. The first one ended up making its money back worldwide. It did. It also had legs.
And I think all of these people who are saying things like Spider-Verse is gonna be the new highest grossing. I think that's all a load of shit. It's gonna make money. Really well. It's gonna do really well. It's not gonna do as well as Mario.
No.
It's not going to do as well as a lot of these other huge movies, but...
Because it's still a niche thing, like the whole Spider-Verse thing. I'm just surprised that the first one was loved so much. I love it, but I'm just surprised how well that one did critically and audience-wise and won the Oscar for Best Animated.
Yeah. Couldn't have happened to a better movie.
It's fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah. Fantastic film.
And then The Flash, coming out the week after Transformers, June 16th, a little bit lower on the low end of Spider-Man, 85 million projected. High end, 135 million projected, which is more. I believe that's more than Guardians.
Yeah,
weekend.
Flash,
I think.
I mean, this fucking Flash movie. I mean, I think. Yeah, I guess we'll just jump back and forth between
whatever.
Spider-Man and Flash.
So they're all important here.
Flash is such a bizarre situation. I mean, obviously, and no matter what, you're gonna catch me there day one.
Me too. I'm really excited to see it. I mean, I love.
Oh yeah.
I love Michael Keaton as Batman. And okay, this is something that, I mean, I guess if you don't want to hear any spoilers about a reveal that was announced by the director and is just kind of there as a marketing thing, it's not important to the movie, it's just something that happens. I don't remember what the fucking director's name is, whatever. The guy who did It.
And Andy Muschietti.
Andy Muschietti, yeah. Great.
I loved it.
So he announced that Nicolas Cage appears in this one, and it's been confirmed it happens near the end. It's a very short cameo, Nicolas Cage as Superman. And I'm sure, people who may be watching this video, if there are any, hopefully, fingers crossed, please. If you are, you might, be in that kind of nerd circle. You might know a little bit about, the death of Superman, that movie that was supposed to be made, or Superman Lives. And that whole arc with Tim Burton possibly directing it.
And Nicolas Cage was going to be Superman as that whole thing.
It's crazy.
I mean, they've done... The thing about that with him appearing as Superman is they've done it like 3 times now. They did it in... Well, I mean, in animated movies, but like...
right.
They did it in that... What is it? That shitty League of Super Pets movie? I didn't watch it.
Did they really?
I'm pretty sure...
I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure Nick Cage is Superman in that movie. Confirm that for me. Maybe I'm being stupid. I could be wrong. Was I wrong? Please tell me I'm not wrong.
Isn't John Krasinski Superman in that movie?
Oh, you're right. It was John Krasinski. But that was it. It was Teen Titans Go that did it.
Oh, yeah?
The Teen Titans Go to the movies? 100%. 100%.
What if you're wrong with this one, too?
This one I'm right. This one I know I'm right. It was Nick Cage with Superman. Yeah.
He was. He voiced him.
Him. But yeah, I know it's an animated movie, like whatever. But
well, yeah, and obviously it's not that crazy design that we had with Nicolas Cage as Superman, which is just its own like really special thing.
Yeah, it wasn't in live action, admittedly, but the joke, they've done the joke before. We'll see how it goes.
Right, and apparently,
I'd love to.
Apparently, he looks like what the Tim Burton like original.
I'm excited for
to be
that,
like, which I think is gonna be cool. But like, I think this movie right now is really just tracking the fact that they're having like a lot of big names watch it. Fucking Stephen King did a little reaction to it, and he said it was fantastic. I'm like, okay, cool.
This. I can't.
It's really weird. It's a weird marketing scheme, I guess.
Everybody who's seen this movie has said like it's so good that like fucking like I don't understand. There's no way it's so fucking good that it makes people forget that it stars an international criminal. Like it's so good.
A wanted criminal. Well, I mean, he's in custody now or something, or I don't know. He's getting help, or they're getting help. I hope Ezra Miller gets the help they need. Blah blah blah.
Sure.
Whatever. But,
sure.
Like,
I'm just. It is baffling to me that Ezra Miller is still attached to this.
Well, someone who works in the film,
the fact that it's still coming, like the fact that they looked at this and they saved it from the garbage because it was so fucking good that controversy be damned, everything be damned, the people have to see this movie. You fucking? What is it? What is so good? Now I will be seated. I will be there with an open mind. But this had better be the best fucking movie
it better be.
I've ever seen in my life.
I'm just surprised they didn't rebrand it like as a Batman thing. I don't know. Whatever.
The Flash and Batman.
Or I mean, what people have, John Campia's show, they talked about calling it like the Batman Flashpoint. I think that would have been really cool.
That would have been a title.
I mean, it would have really helped them, kind of rewrite the history of the whole thing. But yeah, that movie is tracking really well. It's kind of an anomaly, and I hope it's good. I hope I can come out of it and be like, you know what? I never want to see Ezra Miller as the Flash again because they shouldn't be. They should be, get help and maybe have a career in a decade once they've like really, dealt with all of their shit, and paid those consequences. But if I can come out of this movie and be like, I didn't really care about Ezra Miller in this movie. They were good, but overall it was just a well-made film. I'll be really impressed and I'll be happy. And Andy Muschietti is a good director, and I think if he's made a great movie, regardless of the behind the scenes drama, then maybe it's gonna be a hit.
I'd like to hope that it's not the shittiest movie ever made. I don't trust anybody anymore. I don't trust anybody anymore. I don't care how many times people say this is the best movie I've ever seen in my life. I don't fucking.
Fair enough.
I don't believe shit. I've been burned too many times. Every time a new movie comes out, people go, "I thought it was gonna be shit." But it was really good. And then I watched the movie, and it's the shittiest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
That's the Ant-Man Quantumania.
After Quantumania and the Super Mario Brothers movie, those were the last two straws for me, was where I said, I fundamentally think I just am on a different plane of existence than these fucking people.
You don't trust anyone ever again.
I don't live the same life that they do. Like, I watch the Mario movie, and I'm sitting there with all my friends, and we walk out of the movie, and everyone's like, that was really great.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love you guys, but what planet? Like we're on different realms here. Like something's going on. But Spider-Man looks great.
Spider-Man looks fucking great. Spider-Man looks fantastic. I'm so excited for it. And I mean, this movie is. And here's the thing too. Obviously, it's gonna come with bias. The first reactions to this are also fantastic.
Oh yeah, they are.
And so it's like, I mean, I really hope that's accurate. And the same way, I hope it's accurate for the Flash. But
I will say that all of the early reactions that I have seen for Spider-Man are like all people who were like, again, like directly invited to the premiere by like Phil Lord and Chris Miller, and people who are literally like. Who have worked with Phil Lord and Chris Miller. People who have worked on this movie.
They're gonna shit on it.
Yeah,
they're gonna shit on it.
Literally, some of the people I saw doing early reactions are people who worked on it. They're like, I worked on this and it's really good. And I'm like, okay, like I'm not trying to say, because for the record, this is probably one of the most anticipated movies I have this year. Like I'm fucking hyped for this movie. But I'm still taking that shit with a grain of salt. Like you're fucking telling me fucking Alex Hirsch, who's like good buddies with them. He did Gravity Falls and all this shit. He posts on Twitter like, this is the best movie. This is a great movie. I believe you. I believe that you love it. But also like, you're literally friends with it. Like friends with these people.
Exactly.
You did story notes on movies for them. Like I can't like I can take the fact that you like it and believe you, but like I'm still not gonna be out like all these people coming out of the woodwork to say this is better than the original. This is the best, most beautiful, every frame of painting. I believe in my heart that that's true, but I don't believe them when they say it. Does that make any sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
I'm like, I don't believe you. I need to see it for myself first before I get any more excited than I am.
Because or else, what if it's bad? You're gonna be so burned.
Yeah, I was actually one of the rare people who was actually like a little bit skeptical about this movie. I've always been excited about it. I always thought it was gonna be fucking awesome. Like I no doubt in my mind that it was gonna be good. but I was skeptical about how good it was going to be. And I think the big thing that was worrying me was the delays. Now, the fact that it was delayed, like, what was it, like 3 times? Usually, with a video game or something, that's usually a good sign because it means that they're taking the time to polish bugs. With a movie, I have found the more delays a movie has, the more red flags it's going to give me.
Yeah.
Because 90% of the time, that means trouble. 90% of the time, that means development issues, script problems, all sorts of things you don't want to be dealing with, especially on a movie like this that's so fucking complicated and like so much shit is happening in it.
Yeah.
It's really easy to fuck it up.
From what it sounds like, though, it seems to be the delays have all been about the animation and they want to get it perfect. And if that is the case, then great.
That's actually what I think too. That's what I'm starting to think because, I don't know. Because Phil Lord and Chris Miller, they don't really, I mean, I think 22 Jump Street's the only direct sequel that they've actually like really been involved in. Because usually they just produce from like a safe distance where their name isn't really on it. Like, what was it? Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2.
Co-directed by a dad of one of my friend from London's girlfriend.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and then like there's like a butcher living on a farm, but then like her dad co-directed that movie. It's very small world. Yeah,
co-directed Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2.
Yeah, Chris Pern, I think is his name.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
But anyway, so with that one, again, they directed the first movie.
Yeah.
But the second one, obviously somebody else stepped in. That's
someone else.
That's
yeah.
hilarious.
I think he did the Willoughbys as well for Netflix.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Small world.
Small world.
Yeah, with that, the Lego movie, the Lego Movie 2, they kind of stepped back a little bit.
Yeah.
They didn't really work on that one as much. Like, I'm sure they were involved, but like
they were producers, but I don't think anything else. Yeah. No, I don't know.
What I mean?
Actually, I don't know, but
it seems like with a lot of the sequels or continuations to the franchises that they sort of built, they kind of step back.
Yeah.
But with this one, I think they saw like lightning in a bottle and were like, I'm really happy that they decided to stick around.
And on this too, they're just producers.
They're just producers, but they're they're
really hands.
They're like,
it seems they're very hands-on.
Yeah, they're like mega producers.
Meg too.
Meg too.
They're the ones who like at CinemaCon went out and were presenting about this film and talking about it and So you're very excited about it.
I'm very excited.
And honestly, I didn't even see the first one in theaters. I saw it.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I think I watched it on Netflix, and now I own it on 4K, and I've watched it like a dozen times. I love that movie.
I think what's true for you though is true for
a lot of people.
I think
a lot of people, they saw it later on because I think the marketing for the movie was okay, but I think a lot of people weren't just that excited for it because it was like Miles Morales, who cares? We want Peter Parker. But once people realized that movie was just so special and beautifully animated and like just a really great version of Spider-Man, like it felt like a really great Spider-Man movie.
Just all around,
it's a great movie.
An amazing. That is, movie, I think, to this day, one of like the best like first time watches in a movie theater of my life. I think it genuinely it's like enough. This and like Guardians of the Galaxy
Volume 3
one when I was a kid, when I was 12 years old.
Me too.
And I sat down in the theater and I watched that fucking movie. My brain exploded, I think. And Spider-Verse is one of the only other times that happened for me, and I knew like I was every day, me and my friend Liam, we used to like sit in the computer lab like it was during high school, and every day we would just watch the trailer on loop. Like, I'm not even serious, we were really excited for this movie. Like, we're both like huge like animation guys, like we love this shit, so like we're literally just sitting there watching it. There's like a scene where like Peter takes a bite into a burger and like ketchup stains the screen, and I just remember we were like, this is gonna be the best movie ever, and it totally was. Just even the fact that they paid attention to little details like that, it was like, and of course on top of it just being really, they really paid attention to details like that. But then that, like, the broad stroke script of the whole thing was fucking phenomenal too. Like, genuinely one of the best movies I've ever seen. Like, it's really good.
I remember like it's so weird. I remember being, I guess because I don't catch everything in the theaters. This is one of those things I was like, when I saw the trailers for, I thought it looked really good. Yeah. I just love the animation style. I thought it was something so new,
gorgeous.
I love comics. I love superhero stuff. So I was hyped to try out a Miles Morales. I really like the Ultimate Spider-Man comics and that like first run of that. So I was really excited for that. But yeah, I don't know why I didn't catch it in theaters, and I was so lucky to have seen it after and love it. And now, I think a lot of people are in the same boat as me. Even people who aren't like this fans of this, character or whatever, like already, like I was. I do think this movie is going to make a really big splash. I think it's gonna be. Yeah, I do think it's gonna go into that high end opening of near 130 million, if not higher.
I think so too. I think floor is 100 million for real, and I think people are. I don't think it's gonna make $1 billion. I think it's gonna have a pretty reasonable ceiling.
Yeah.
But I think the opening weekend is gonna be a lot higher than the first movie by like a lot, obviously, and
higher, yeah.
Because I think just as you were saying, like you discovered it on Netflix. I think a lot of people were the same. Like I talked to so many people who were like, "Yeah, I just saw that movie a few weeks ago. It's really good.
It's really good.
You know what I mean?" And I showed my sister. I showed like a lot of people that movie in the space between these two. And again, with animated movies, they have a lot of time to really build that audience because it takes them so fucking long to make them.
Yeah.
So in a case like this, it was like the long wait was actually like really beneficial, and it wasn't even that long of a wait.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't felt as long.
It hasn't felt that long. It actually kind of flew by, and the third one's coming out just next year.
You know why I think also flew by is because I think fans of this movie and people who got into it at first also had the experience of the people who around them hadn't seen it already seeing it. Like it's had a really long like staying power in the zeitgeist, and because it stuck around and gained a bigger audience leading up to the second film. That's why the second one was going to pay off. Do you think this film's going to make do you think this movie's going to have legs like the first one kind of did, or and also kind of like a movie that you're a big fan of, Puss in Boots?
Who is your favorite fearless hero?
Do you think it's going to have legs like that, or do you think it's going to be like give it a month and it's going to basically have all its money?
I think more. I'm leaning more.
It's going to have that.
I'm leaning more the latter.
More like MCU kind of hit where it it actually is a really big opening.
I don't see it having crazy legs, only because I don't think word of mouth on this movie is gonna matter. Do you get what I mean? Because I think it's pretty much just word of mouth on the first one. Like if you like the first one, you will see Spider-Verse 2.
I think so too.
But I don't think there's gonna be that many people who are just jumping onto the train now. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what? I do think maybe that there's gonna still be a chunk of people who saw the original, loved it, and but not in theaters, but who maybe are.
You think on the fence?
Not on the fence about liking this movie or seeing it, but maybe on the fence about seeing it in theaters right away. I think those same people, like me or like some others who maybe weren't as excited about the first one and really did enjoy it, are going to probably wait a little bit longer for some people who love it in theaters.
They might not want to see it right away.
Maybe not, but I do think it's going to be within the first couple weeks.
Yeah. I'm going to try my best to see this in IMAX.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That's my goal. I'm trying right now to get the first off of work. Here's hoping, so I can just see it on that Thursday.
Yep.
See it on the Thursday in that nice IMAX screen. I'm just if I'm gonna I want to see it on the biggest screen possible. This is one of those movies that like if you're gonna see it, it's gonna be fucking gorgeous. This is gonna be probably visually the best movie of the year as far as I'm concerned. I don't care what else comes. Like there's no way. Anyway. Spider-Man. Let's move on, I guess.
Yeah, I think the last sort of thing we can talk about this summer, at least that's sort of coming up as big releases, although maybe not the hugest for box office, would be Oppenheimer, and then hopefully big for box office would be Barbie. That's going to be a really weird weekend, but I think a really fun weekend. I think it's going to be a really strange head-to-head. I mean, there's been like all these rumors of like one of them is going to move because it's scared of the other. I'm like, are they scared of each other? Different audiences, completely different audiences. Like, except for maybe some of us, I want to see both on the same day. Like, I think that's gonna be so much fun. I'm gonna see both. Like, totally.
I mean, after watching that Barbie trailer, I think this movie is gonna like really strike a chord. I think this movie's gonna be a big hit. But I'm hearing a lot of rumors that it's very. I mean, pretty obviously, if you're watching this trailer, it's gonna get very political.
Probably
very political, and I, for the record, I think that's great. I think
that's what this movie should do. I don't think it should be the Barbie movies like the straight to DVD Barbie. No. This needs to be.
It should be.
Yeah, it needs to be for this time. And
the problem though is when you're talking about business sense, when you're talking about profitability, you're talking about getting as wide of an audience as possible. The second you make any sort of political stance, you're going to be alienating 50% of the audience is instantly going to be cut off from it. Maybe. I think that's fucking cool.
I agree.
I think that it's great, and I think that the movie's going to be fucking cool.
Me too.
I think it looks fucking phenomenal, but I also think you're going to be seeing a lot of those fucking
anti-woke,
those fucking anti-woke,
assholes.
fucking loser trolls coming out of their basement to be like,
absolutely,
wah, this movie's about women, I hate women. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna see that.
But you know what? Maybe they will appreciate this movie lampooning the brand itself, and or maybe they'll just see it as too much self-referential. And if not, the movie's not for them. It's not for everybody. But I do appreciate in the like most recent trailer that came out a couple of days being like, if you love Barbie, this movie is for you. If you hate Barbie, this movie's for you. I'm like, okay,
I like that. It seemed, and I heard there was reshoots too. I wonder what specifically they're changing.
Though? Every movie has
reshoots,
and oftentimes nowadays it's not even reshoots to change things. Sometimes it's just reshoots because like you didn't get enough coverage of something, or you had an idea just to punch up a scene or whatever. Like, I think we're in the age now where like about a decade ago reshoots were something to worry about. Nowadays I'm like, you know what, maybe they are, because some movies do have really extensive reshoots that are dangerous.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
But something like this, I think Greta Gerwig has become sort of an auteur in today's sort of modern film language.
She's excellent.
She's excellent. So I do think like we can trust her as a storyteller.
I could trust her, and I could trust Noah Baumbach pretty solidly.
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't think White Noise was that good, but Marriage Story was fucking awesome.
Marriage Story, and I mean he
all of Greta Gerwig.
He co-wrote Madagascar.
Madagascar 3, Yours Most Wanted.
So
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's
enough. That's all we need to trust their hands.
It looks really good. It looks really good. I do think box office wise, it's all going to come down to like how overtly political the movie gets and how much that's going to turn off an annoying subsect of the audience. Because I just think no matter what, with any big blockbuster movie, regardless of which way it skews, if you alienate any people in the audience, it's gonna be it can't be great for business. Is all I have to say. And for the record, I think I'm always art over commerce any day of the week.
Course.
I support a movie being good more than I support it making money.
But you also know if a movie doesn't make money, that's bad news for business. And no matter what, it's show business.
If that's show business. If we're talking about how much money the movie's gonna make, I think that is something we really have to consider, and unfortunately, it's something we have to consider. I think
you know what? There actually isn't. I don't believe there are any even long range projections yet. This will probably be the next week or two. We can take a look at this again, but
because I haven't heard any tracking. Yeah, I've heard. Are there early reactions yet? I don't even think so, right?
I don't know.
I don't think it's premiered anywhere. I mean, there's obviously
they've showed like a lot of stuff at CinemaCon, which apparently people really loved, but other than that,
I've heard some like a couple leaks here and there.
Me too.
Nothing too much about like the ending really, but I heard like obviously this newest trailer reveals like her going to the real world and like the Mattel and all. Like I heard roughly about some of that stuff already before the trailer, and I was like, okay, it's interesting to see it in practice. Yeah. From here on in though, I think after that trailer, that might have been the last trailer. I don't know if it was, but
it's the main trailer, so they'll probably have a couple like more spots, but like nothing that's gonna push the needle now and convince more or less people to go.
What I think I'm gonna avoid any more TV spots or anything like that. Usually this is around the point with every movie that I start to tap out. Spider-Verse, even though it's all over my fucking Twitter feed, I have just been scrolling. I'm not gonna look. I'm just gonna see the movie. I know I'm gonna like it or whatever it is. I'm gonna see it. And Oppenheimer looks okay.
Yeah. Well, okay, we'll get into some more of that in a second. The one thing we'll say about Barbie, though, before we move on, is just, I do think there is something to be said about, any news being good news for business. Like,
that's true.
If this film outrages some people, like that minority of people who are just the loudest, then maybe it'll draw the more people who are like, oh, it can't be that bad, or it can't be that outrageous. It can't be that.
You know what?
I might draw on the people who you wouldn't expect. Like, honestly, someone like me, if I weren't already just obsessed with like films and I wasn't a film guy, I would probably see this movie just because if there is that kind of reaction, I'd probably still see it.
I actually think you're totally right. I think we could be looking at like a repeat of like the Joker thing.
Maybe.
Do you remember that?
And I think it have good legs.
It's the big like zeitgeist movie that everyone's talking about for some reason, and then people are just like, fuck it, okay, I guess I have to see the Barbie movie.
And honestly, and I think a lot of this, like with Joker, for example, a lot of the talk of that movie was that it was problematic and stuff, or it was doing things that people didn't like, and then it came out it won a fucking several Oscars.
Oscars. You know what? Actually, I think I'm changing my tune. I think political division actually could be good for this movie.
For this movie, I think it could.
Yeah,
because it's the audience for it is targeted at like probably a more progressive group. It is definitely.
I mean, as long as it's good and the commentary is well handled.
Yes.
Regardless of which way it leans or anything, I think that it could actually be very good for business.
Yes. It needs to be more. Oh God, what's like a really great girl boss movie? It needs to be more Little Women than it does that like scene from Avengers Endgame where all the female heroes team up. Like it needs to be more a really competent
it needs
commentary.
to be like substantive. Is that a word?
Substantial.
Substantial commentary, and I think that it will. I mean,
think so too.
Greta Gerwig is very talented, and so is Noah Baumbach. Like the two of them, I'm very confident.
I think subtextually it's going to be really strong.
They're actually going to have like something to say in this movie that isn't just going to be fucking like nonsense.
Absolutely.
And
then so same weekend as Oppenheimer, and I'm so excited. I'm a big Christopher Nolan guy for the most part. Tenet is tricky for me. I love that movie, but I know it's also like maybe I shouldn't.
I hate Tenet.
So fair enough. So it divides people, and it came out at the wrong time, and it's just messy. Oppenheimer, though, I think it's really cool. He is going and telling like a biographical story, a true story. Also, probably be very political. I'm hoping I can understand what the characters are saying in this movie. That'd be really nice.
Christopher Nolan, if you could actually sound mix your movie correctly.
Sound mix it and do some ADR. I don't really give a shit if you have to record things after. Like whatever. Come on.
Just make the vocal track
a little
louder than the background music. Is it that hard? Is that a difficult thing to do? You know what I'm going to do for this podcast episode, Ben? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to mix a background music.
Just a loud hum.
That's just a little bit louder than us talking.
Just hang on. Just quiet on set. Just have that constantly the whole background.
The whole time. You can't fucking hear it. And every time Robert Pattinson tries to talk, we cut him off with music. All right. And every time any character has to say important exposition, make sure that there's a really loud noise so you can't hear what they're saying.
Oh God.
And that's the Christopher Nolan style. Hey, if people like that, that's what they like. I don't like him. I don't want to say he's a hack. But maybe I'll say harsh words. I think I'm not gonna say he's a hack, but I'm gonna imply it a little. I'm gonna imply he's a hack. I liked Interstellar.
You know, I haven't seen Interstellar. That's like one of the only ones I haven't seen, and that's why I need to.
Interstellar is one of the few I have ventured to watch because I was like, sure, whatever. And you know what? I really liked it.
I will say, the poster for Oppenheimer looks like shit. Yeah, I think some of the older trailers.
It looks like the Hunger Games poster.
No, and that's the thing too. People I know people were scrolling like, oh, it's the Hunger Games. Wait, what? Like I think that was so funny. This looks like this poster looks like shit. The trailers look great. The cast is huge. Josh Peck is in this movie.
Josh Peck.
Like what?
What?
I'm really hyped for it. No matter what Luke says, I'm super hyped for it. I think this movie, and I think Killers of the Flower Moon. This is my really early prediction of Oscars. I think this and Killers of the Flower Moon are gonna be head to head end of the year.
You think so?
As like the two front runners for.
Has Nolan won Best Picture yet?
Not Best Picture, not Best Director. I don't think he's going Best Director. I think that might go Scorsese. But I think this movie has Best Picture chances if it has also a really, really strong like message about
like an anti-war
and politics, which I'm sure it will. I'm sure it's going to be like the modern day like Doctor Strangelove type thing, and I hope it is. I hope it has that kind of commentary to it.
The Academy, when they see an anti-war message, no. They're gonna eat that. Yeah, they're gonna eat that. They fucking love it.
Yeah, or just any guy who malnourished himself and put on clown makeup.
Hey, I will say this.
Maybe it's not for you. It doesn't have to be.
It's the most interested I've been in a Christopher Nolan movie.
Okay.
Probably ever, to be honest with you. Okay. I think so, because all of his movies just look like a fucking nightmare mess of fucking nothing to me. This at least seems like it's gonna follow like a traditional narrative structure and isn't gonna fucking annoy me. So. Really?
Well, because you know how the movie is like half shot, or like someone's shot in black and white. Right?
I heard that. I'm fine with that as long as it's...
And that's in the future. So I think there's going to be, at least what I've heard or what I think is going to happen is it's going to be like, you'll see the present day, or like like the story of how he made the bomb and that whole thing, and then it's going to cut, it's probably going to be intercut between in the future, him at like these trials talking, and that's like when Robert Downey Jr.'s character is there and stuff.
I'm totally fine with that, so long as it's very clear, because as you said, like this is in black and white.
This is a very, very clear visual indicator.
At least as long as narratively I'm able to understand what's fucking going on in any given scene, I will probably think the movie is fine.
Okay.
And you know what? Again, as just like a history lesson, because I don't fucking know shit about this, it'll be interesting to me. I like that they have Albert Einstein just show up as like a fucking MCU cameo.
Yeah, the MCU cameo where Albert Einstein is like, fine.
That's funny. I'll do it myself.
I'll do it myself. E = MC squared. That's it. The infinity equation.
What a joke.
But I'm hyped. We're coming up on 2 hours here. Is there anything else you want to talk about, or you want to wrap it up and and sort of get ready for the next show in a couple weeks.
I don't know. Yeah, like I'm looking at the other stuff. Like,
I mean, there's some news we could talk about.
We pretty much.
But I think we've touched on a lot of the stuff all through the other talks as well, eh? I mean, other than I think the one thing that we could talk about a little bit is the strike.
I was gonna say, I see the strike.
It's looming. It's scary. I think maybe we can talk about that more if more bad things happen. If the DGA and the SAG strikes as well.
I feel like there's nothing really that we can bring to it that hasn't already like.
No, the discourse on it is just so large right now, and like big support WGA. Strong, fight strong. Honk honk for you.
If I was in LA,
I'd be marching for you.
I would march. I would honk, but I'm not there.
You deserve it, writers. I want to be you one day.
I agree. I love writers. I love writers. I'm a screenwriter.
Yeah, man. Monkey Man 2.
Monkey Man 2.
This summer?
This summer, guys.
Little plug. We'll put that as like a little.
We'll plug. Monkey Man 2 summer.
Man 2, whatever.
I don't know if I was supposed to reveal that it was. Actually, no, I did.
You did. You put it on your story.
I did.
You did.
Yes. So it is.
Bananas.
It is this summer. I have no official release date confirmed yet.
Yeah.
This summer, there's gonna maybe be a Monkey Man direct.
Okay, you know the one thing I want to talk about right now is just that's worrying me, and this is something that came out I think a day or two ago with the strike whole thing is that movies that are ready to be made are written. They're not being affected by the WGA strike. They're being affected by the threat of a strike for SAG or DGA.
Yeah.
So there was this Rooney Mara and Joaquin Phoenix movie. So they're married and they're doing this movie together. And it was announced a while ago. The night before, on the eve of the shoot, like right before they started shooting, they had to shut it down because they lost their insurance. And like
serious?
Things like this, where you spend $100 million or even like any millions of dollars on movies, you can't lose insurance because if something bad happens, you're fucked.
They're fucked.
They're fucked.
They're fucked.
And they lost insurance because there is the threat that SAG will strike, and the SAG union, like all the members have voted in favor. Majority have voted in favor of a strike happening if the union can't reach a deal. And at this point, they've stood in solidarity with WGA. So is the DGA. It's very likely. So, anyways.
Wow.
You'll probably notice we just had a little cut there. We had a little conversation about something going on. I'm sure we'll go into more detail as everything with the strike progresses because there's a lot happening.
Yeah.
And honestly, with the trajectory of the film industry sort of going back up and becoming healthy again, it's really scary that movies are getting shut down, shows are getting shut down.
Terrifying.
And that if this strike goes longer than the last one did, which was 100 days, if this one goes longer than that, it's bad news for the film industry. It's bad news for people like us who want to get into it. Like it's
bad news. I mean, honestly, it's bad news for people like us. But at the end of the day, hope is already gone. We're going to be replaced by a computer in the next 5 years anyway. It's God. Bleak, but probably true.
We'll just so you know, this entire podcast was scripted by AI, and we're just reading off a screen. We're really good actors.
ChatGPT wrote this entire thing.
The P in GPT.
I will say though, like the fact is, eventually, I think not even just writers though, like all of Hollywood will be replaced. No matter how many times people on Twitter try to tell, no matter how many times people on Twitter try to say shit like, AI can never replace real artists. I agree that like there's something inherently special about human beings creating it ourselves, but that computer is going to be able to do everything that a team of 1,000 people can all do in less than 5 seconds, and we just have to prepare for it, like mentally. There will be a point, Ben, where you can look at your computer and you can press a button and speak into the microphone and say, I would like a movie starring Margot Robbie and fucking Bradley Cooper, and they fucking, I don't know, they're fighting in space, and I don't know, and the Muppets are there. I can't, you know what I mean? I'm bad on the spot. And then the computer will make it. They'll make a whole 90-minute movie where that happens, and then you will be able to then press more buttons and tweak the script as needed as you want. So it's like there will be no point of this. And this isn't even just, I mean, we're getting into like real existential dread right now, Ben.
It's very bleak.
Think about the fact that like one day an AI will probably be smart enough to like rearrange atoms on a molecular level.
Oh, yeah.
And will be able to like cure any disease and also become God. And then really just be afraid of that. At the end of the day, them writing scripts for us is the least of our concern. It's already happening. The rabbit hole, we're already going deeper. The snowball effect has started. It's too late. It's already too smart. And it's too late. We can't go back now. It's done. So we're all going to die or something. And I will say this, that as bad as any AI-generated script is, there's no way that it could be worse than the screenplay that was written for Ant-Man and the Wasp:
Quantumania.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, honestly, fuck it. A bleak ending, but an honest ending. Thank you, Luke, for your very
Thank you.
your harsh thoughts, but it's tough love, right?
Tough love. Actually, I have no love for Ant-Man.
Ant-Man
Wasp Quantumania.
No, fuck that movie. Fuck that movie.
Horrible.
Worst things I've ever seen. Well, anyways, on that note, why don't we wrap it up?
Let's do it. All right, what is it? The New Age Fandom Report.
Yeah, thank you for joining us this week. If you are one of the lucky few people who got to watch this because you are a genius and you found us, thank you. We'll figure out how we do this. Our schedule could be weekly, bi-weekly. We don't know yet, but you'll see us again soon.
Yeah.
And we look forward to this show, growing and us getting even better as hosts and streamlining it and figuring out our own identity on this show. So it's going to be a really interesting summer. I'm really excited.
Yeah. I think it was great. I think that was the best internet show ever made. And we've already peaked.
Exactly.
So that's it.
I'm just going to keep on. Yeah, we're just going to keep on going. It's awesome.
Keep going. We're going to keep going.
All right.
This has been
the New Age Fandom Report.
Starring
Ben and
Luke. That's us. That's the two of us.
All right.
That's the show.
Night, everybody.
Movie boy, movie show.
Movie boy.
Hello.
Goodbye.
Bye.